He is going to drop the throw. He is going to drop the throw. Fires deep along the right sideline for Alec Pierce.
He's got it! Touchdown! Touchdown! Alec Pierce spikes it into the end zone. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! A 32-yard grab over the shoulder snag.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? It is Kicking with the Crew. We are back for another playoff edition of our show where we discuss a lot of NFL. We're going to discuss some coach candidates tonight. We'll probably get into answering some comments like we always do because you guys drive this show just as much as we do.
And probably debate.
Yeah, oh yeah, we'll definitely debate.
I'm going to debate a little bit. I'm going to debate a little bit tonight.
I can say one thing. I know. DeMarco wanted us to put together our top 3 coaching candidates, and I'm just going to say my top bottom candidates. I'm pretty sure almost our 3 are going to be the same. it's pretty simple, but
for sure. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming in tonight. We appreciate you guys as always for joining in. Hope everybody's seen that great game that we had. I was a little scared there. Patrick Mahomes got hurt for a while. But, you know, Chad Henne came in, and this is why you need a good veteran quarterback, and you need a system that works. You need a good coach to have your team ready at all times, which is why I'm really huge on some of the candidates we have and some that I really don't want. So we will get to a lot of that tonight.
Yes, sir. Hey, what's up, Ash? What's up, Chad? Yeah, I don't know why everybody's confused that KC won. I thought that was kind of a gimme. I didn't expect Jags to win that game. I expect them to give a fight, but yeah, there was a weird stat floating around during that game too that kind of made me laugh. A buddy of mine who's a Jags fan hit me up with it, and even he was dying. It was it's been 6 consecutive seasons of a conference championship at either the Kansas City Chiefs or the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I've seen that garbage,
bro. So they supposedly put it at the bottom ticker during halftime.
Yeah.
Like, who does that? That's the dumbest stat I've ever heard. Oh, yeah. Man.
I thought that thing was awful. It's like, okay, I get it. We want to try and be funny here, but, like, really? You can't sit here and say that's the stat when it's been one of those teams for 5 consecutive.
Facts.
Like, come on, dude.
I'll go ahead and answer Ashley's question. I got Philly. I don't have Philly by a landslide, though. So it's a divisional matchup, so I think it's going to be a good game. It truly depends on what Jalen Hurts shows up. Him coming back from injury and everything. Yeah, so
if he's healthy.
If he plays healthy, then I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, I also have Philly in that game. Like Matt said, not a landslide. I do think the Eagles could probably win by 10, though. Some may call that a landslide, may not, but I think it should be a fairly routine game for Philly. I think Jalen Hurts will come back. Even if he doesn't run a lot, I think he should still be able to pass and do some things and play against this defense that he's going against and be able to take advantage of them, score some points, and get the win because Philly is not Minnesota.
Definitely not.
I think it's going to take for Philadelphia to have almost a defensive collapse for New York to go out here and put 25, 30 points on the board. So I think it should be a fairly routine game for Philly. I think they'll turn to running the ball a little bit more this game, throw on play action, and just get some points on the board. So I'm going to go with Philly. Of course, you can never be surprised with a divisional game. Stuff can swing pretty quick. So
I agree 100%. I think when we did our votes this week, it was everybody went Kansas City, and I believe everybody went Philly for Saturday games. So Kicking with the Crew officially went with Kansas City and went with Philly.
And just to give fans an update, I am actually 7-0. Haven't got one wrong yet.
The only one I got wrong was the Tampa Bay Dallas game. That's all right with me. I'll deal with it.
Same, Matt. Yeah, I was thinking.
I'll deal with it. I thought that we were going to get the real Dak, and we didn't get the real Dak. So, Zach with the G-Men.
Zach went with the Giants.
Yep, he did. And I don't know if he went against us at all. Oh yeah, he did. He went San Diego or LA last week.
He went LA
Yeah,
against
he went-
Jacksonville.
Yeah,
was
because
we made-
going
hey,
crazy at halftime.
Just so everyone knows, if you saw the show last week, he made us apologize live
on
the
camera,
air,
yeah, live
and
on the air.
we made him apologize to us in the group chat. But now we want he's going to give us, since he's not on the show tonight. And I'm pretty sure he did this on purpose. One of these weeks he's going to apologize. The next time he's on the show, he's apologizing live, being silly. But let's go ahead and move on to Buffalo and Cincy. Who y'all got?
I have Cincy.
Oh,
I got the Bengals, man. I like them.
okay.
Buffalo. Josh Allen's gonna get it done.
Yep.
He's gonna get it done.
I got
Joe
Buffalo.
Burrow is not
Actually, stand
I
by.
got Josh Allen. I got Josh Allen getting some turnovers done.
It doesn't matter for him though. He can throw 3 picks. He's still gonna win the game.
Not
Joe
against
Burrow-
what? Not
Joe
against Cincy. No.
Joe Burrow is not willing to do the things that Josh Allen is willing to do to win.
Hey, okay, 100%. I lied. I said I actually got Cincy. My bad. I said Buffalo. I had to go look back at my bracket, and I actually have Cincy.
Matt, you do not agree with that at all, do you?
What?
That Josh Allen can have 3 picks, and look at the deep shot there by Jalen Hurts. Oh yeah, Philly's winning this game.
I'm a little bit behind. Hold on.
Oh, my bad. But yeah, he said Josh Allen can have 3 picks and Bill still win this game.
I don't think so, man.
There's no way.
I don't think so.
He has more than
Bro,
2 turnovers.
You're talking about him having so like a terrible game last week and beating Miami without Tua. Joe Burrow is not a backup quarterback of the Miami Dolphins.
Just watch. He's played like that the last half of this season. He's been throwing 2, occasionally 3 picks a game. Sometimes we get away clean. I'm telling you, he's willing to do things Joe Burrow is not willing. I know it's playoffs. I already know what you're about to say. But I'm telling you, if it's 3rd and 10, you're the guy sitting in the box calling plays. Who do you want throwing the football, running the offense on 3rd and 10? When is a blitz coming? I'm taking Josh Allen.
This year, I'm taking Joe Burrow.
Okay, now you sound like Zach.
No, this season, I'm taking Joe Burrow over Josh Allen. Oh, the only thing Josh Allen's done this season is show that he's overrated.
Oh goodness. Okay.
You did call that there was going to be a debate, and here it is.
You just called Josh Allen overrated.
Josh Allen is overrated. Hey, DeMarco, we can't hear you.
He probably agreed with you. I'm glad he's muted. He's still muted.
He's still muted.
My bad. But yeah. Right now he is overrated. You got to remember this is a week-to-week league, and we got to remember that what you put on the field each week is what somebody's going to rate you by. Josh Allen came into this year as the MVP favorite. You know where he ranks on that list right now?
Not even sniffing it.
He's only like 5.
Yeah, he's not even sniffing it.
Yeah, so you got to remember what you put on the field each week is what you're going to be rated as. Right now, Josh Allen is not going to be that guy. Whether he can run the ball like crazy or not, he's still turning over the ball too much. It's the same thing people say for Dak Prescott. You turn over the ball too much, your team is going to lose in the playoffs.
I can't believe you just put Dak Prescott's name in Josh Allen's sentence.
No, I'm not putting them in the same sense. I'm talking about the turnovers, just the turnovers.
If you put Stephon Diggs in Cincy, Joe Burrow doesn't throw 3 interceptions a game.
I mean, Joe Burrow rarely throws 3 interceptions a game.
I'm just saying he's not going to throw the interceptions that
exactly.
I can't wait for tomorrow.
That Josh Allen's
I cannot wait for tomorrow. Now I cannot wait.
Hey! Remember,
Neither.
Zach thought we had to apologize, and we got it right. I got a good feeling we're gonna be right again. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, think back to when they played last time. Only 7 minutes into the game, and the Bengals were about to go up 14-3 on the Buffalo Bills, who's supposed to have a number 1 offense, a number 1 defense, and a good special teams. And the Bengals were running them. I got the Bengals, man.
I got the Bengals too. All right, let's go ahead and move over to San Fran and Dallas.
I think we all know where we're going here.
I don't know. Let's hear what y'all got.
Damon?
Brock Purdy's going to fall on his face, and the Cowboys are going to win.
Oh, Damon's alone on this one.
It's due. He's due for it.
You know what?
But think about this. Think about this now. Think about this now. He is due for it. This guy's had the most perfect run. fairy tales do not get written in the NFL unless the NFL wants it to happen.
And you think Dak Prescott's going to be the one to do it for him?
It doesn't have to be. If he falls flat on his face, he's going to be another backup-looking quarterback.
But he can
Dallas
look like
Dallas has a running game.
He can look like a backup-looking quarterback. That running game's not going to do anything against San Francisco's defense.
Yeah, see, my problem with that is everybody thinks that Brock Purdy can fall on his face, and I just don't think Kyle Shanahan would ever call a game for his quarterback to go out there and like try and throw the ball 40 times to fall on his face.
I don't think Kyle Shanahan will either, but it doesn't come on the shoulders of Kyle Shanahan at that point when he runs out in the field.
But when you have Christian McCaffrey, what are you so worried about? Just saying. Christian McCaffrey's better than Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott.
And Matt, just to be frank, me and you both live in Texas. We don't
say Frank in here. All right, we don't say
we both live in Texas, and this is the last thing we want to see. Let's just be real here.
That's facts. Facts. You don't live in the part of Texas that has to deal with it as much as I do.
You're right, I don't.
I work 2 minutes from freaking headquarters.
So I guess we'll see. Do I want San Fran to win this game?
See?
But I think it's not. Yeah.
This is facts right here. It's not Dak versus Purdy. It's QB versus defense.
Yeah, that's the media narrative when they go quarterback versus quarterback.
Yeah.
And I've never believed in that crap. And that's exactly why I think the Niners still win by maybe 10 to 14 points, is because of the fact that their defense is too good. If Kellen Moore can get his head out of his butt and he can stick to running the football, get Dak in rhythm, just like they did against the Buccaneers after the first couple series, I think then he can make the Cowboys can have a chance in the game. But if they come out there and they think Dak is going to be a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow and he's going to throw the ball 50 times, Cowboys getting boat raced.
If Dak plays like he played again last week, I know this is the San Francisco defense. I'm going to repeat this so y'all don't take words out of my mouth and correct me. If Dak plays like he played last week, they're winning. That we kind of barely jotted over that game, but that was some pretty good football, man.
But he played like that against Tampa Bay.
And people don't understand how trash Tampa is.
Yeah.
I don't think a team in that division should have been in the playoffs.
That's not San Francisco's defense. I mean, I'm sorry, you don't have goddamn Boza coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have anybody. They didn't even have JPP anymore.
And then that Dallas's defense just ain't that good. They gotta face Debo, CMC, and Big Cock Brock.
Well, I hope that you enjoy watching the Dallas Cowboys defense play tomorrow because Zach might be our new coach.
Hey, Chad said bold prediction. Cowboys don't score over 7. Ouch.
Oh.
Ouch. I got a little bit more respect for the Cowboys, man. I think they'll put up a decent fight, but I still think it ends up being like 24-34, something like that. 17-27, something in that type of range.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a blowout.
I think the Niners will just look more dominant, and the Cowboys just won't make enough plays to keep the Niners from doing what they do.
Dak isn't going to throw over 300 yards tomorrow.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that. I don't know.
Not like he did last week. He's not going to throw over 300 yards.
See, that's my thing, though. He can still throw over 300 yards and have a good game, but they still lose. Like, think about the game that Jarrett Stidham with the Raiders played versus the Niners. And I'm not trying to compare the same systems in the game and whatnot. But it's like if Kellen Moore, this is why I keep saying Kellen Moore, if he gets the run game going, get Dak in rhythm and not make him just go out there thinking he can throw the ball every play, Dak can have a good game and they still just lose and it be a close one. And so that's my thing. That's why they got to run the ball.
I'm saying it. Dak ain't throwing for over 300 yards tomorrow.
Kellen Moore's a good OC too, man.
Yeah, I think Kellen Moore's got to be smart. I think that's the key here for them.
He will. And Kellen Moore's smart.
I'm not worried about Kellen Moore. I just Mike McCarthy's probably, to me, one of the worst head coaches in football.
You really think so?
I hate Mike McCarthy, man. I said this 2 years ago, and Damon was there when I said it before. And the reason I say it is because he can get your team to the playoffs, but he can never get you over the hump. He's literally the Peyton Manning of coaching. He's a great seasoned coach, but when it comes to the NFL, he can't get you over the hump. How many times did he get Green Bay over the hump?
Yeah, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's a bad coach, though. That's like
I don't like Mike McCarthy.
I mean, like that's what I hate. Like
I
when they
think
go on TV and they keep dragging Mike McCarthy on like some of the shows and stuff like that. But it's like
as they
people
should.
like will he get fired and whatnot? It's like, bro, they went from 8-8 Jason Garrett to a 12-4, 12-5 Mike McCarthy. Like I don't really see that as a downfall. Yeah, maybe he has some flaws when they get to the playoffs and they're not, going all the way as some people would think they should. But man, I'd much rather go 12-4 and make the playoffs and kind of be right there rather than be 8-8 and just keep missing the playoffs and everybody keep dragging the Cowboys through the dirt. So, I mean, I don't call him a bad coach. I just think he has some flaws.
Consistent flaws,
Yeah, I mean,
and that's what I don't like batting people is consistent flaws.
But would you rather make the playoffs or have flaws in the regular season and just keep going 8-8?
Yeah, sure. I'd rather have neither. I'd rather have that fucking coach that can get over the hump in the playoffs. I don't care if you get me there. What are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it?
It's hard to find that coach though.
But then you look like the Dallas Cowboys. Then you look like the Tennessee Titans. Teams that can go ahead and make the playoffs and do nothing with it. It's just a waste of a spot.
Yeah, I mean that's two different situations, though.
No, it's not. It's exactly the same. Both teams are
Tennessee,
coached well.
No,
Hold on. Both teams are coached well. They make the playoffs and they do nothing with it.
Yeah, but hold on, that's two different things. Tennessee,
no, it's the same thing.
No, Tennessee is coached well, but they're bereft of talent. The Cowboys are coached well in the regular season and have talent, but
and still do nothing with it. That's got nothing to do with the coaches. They're both teams are coached well. Both teams make the playoffs, and both teams do nothing. So if we're saying this, Mike Vrabel is clearly a better coach than Mike McCarthy, considering he takes a less talented team to the playoffs.
Yeah. I would agree with you there. So basically, it's like if we put Mike McCarthy in a spot, basically what we're saying is here, he'd be like a top 14 coach. He will get out coached by anybody who is a better coach than him. And if they're not, he can win. So I get, I mean,
I personally think there's a lot of coaches that can outcoach Mike McCarthy. They just don't have.
Hey, that's another point. That could be bereft of talent.
I see that too, though, Matt. I do see what you're saying there.
Yeah, I mean that's good points all around the board. It's tough one to call. I just hate when people call him a bad coach.
I'm not gonna say he's. I'm not gonna. I did go a little far and say he's the worst coach. He's not the worst coach. I mean,
he's top 15 coach.
Maybe top 20.
Yeah, I think I'd settle there for top 15 and just he can be easily outcoached. Whew, that was a nice little debate there.
Yeah, it was.
Frank Wright. Honestly, I don't know if he'd outcoach Mike McCarthy. If it was a playoff game, I'd say yeah, Frank Wright could probably outcoach him. But in a regular season, no.
No, Frank Reich didn't. Did Frank Reich outcoach? No.
That was Jason Garrett when we beat them 23-0, 2018.
yeah, that was Mr.
Oh,
that was the week. That was the week after we lost to the Jaguars 6-0.
Man,
was that?
Yeah. That was the year Andrew Luck. The only game we lost since week 7. Week 7
earlier.
No, it was 6-0, and then we went out and destroyed Cowboys.
That was week 8. I think that was week 8, 2018. We did that, if I'm not mistaken.
It was later in the season.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I thought it would have been like 2 weeks. All right. Well, was that every playoff team? Did we miss any?
Yeah, we hit them for this week.
All right. So real quick then, let's jump over real quick because I'm seeing a question in here from Tristan saying, "Coolin' man, I want the 49ers DC D'Amico Ryans. What y'all say?" So
hold on 1 second. I completely lied. It was we lost to Jacksonville 6-0, then we beat Houston 24-21, then we beat Dallas 23-0. Weeks 13, 14, and 15.
That's what I thought it was. I thought there was like a week in there.
Yeah, there was. I just forgot about Houston because they didn't really matter to us ever. So
we about made Dallas get rid of Dak that game. That was the most Dak hate I ever saw in history.
Yeah, so with that being said, so we have 12 coaching candidates for all out there who don't know. It would have been 13, but Ben Johnson has said he is staying with the Detroit Lions. We have completed interviews with Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator for the Rams. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions. Shane Steichen, offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Ichiro Ibero, defensive coordinator for the Broncos. Bubba Ventrone, our own Indianapolis Colts special teams coordinator. Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Jeff Saturday, our interim head coach and our All Pro and Pro Bowl center staff. And we have interviewed Dan Quinn, Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals, and then we have also interviewed Rich Bisaccia, special teams coordinator, formerly interim head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, current special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. So those are all the ones that we have completed. There's still left out there that we need to finish up with. It's going to be the defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale for the New York Giants, offensive coordinator Mike Kafka from the New York Giants, and then San Francisco's 49ers defensive coordinator D'Amico Ryans. So going from there, Damon, who would you have as your top 3 candidates right now that we have requested and interviewed? And then just give us a little bit of information on why you choose those 3. I guess you could start with your number 3 of that list and work your way up.
Yep, my third would be Steichen. And the reason why is obviously the work he's done with Jalen Hurts and that offense. And the reason why I have them 3, and I know we kind of talked about this briefly during the week, but when it comes to a physical, and I know we're going to get in debate about this, but physical talent and tool aspect of things, I don't know how well we stack up against what he's been able to work with in Philly. That's not to say that he has not played a huge part in that offense working out, because chemistry has a lot to do with any NFL offense working. I just don't think that he physically stacks up against those 2 candidates. So Steichen being my third. My second be D'Amico Ryans. And what I like about him is the leadership aspect of things and the culture change that we physically need in our locker room. I'm sick of the Colts being the locker room friendly team, the soft team, may you say, the friendliest locker room in the NFL. That type of stuff doesn't show up on Sundays and let you win. So D'Amico, I think, kind of gives us a competitive edge that we've been missing. And that figure that I think our players really are going to lean to grow towards. But the reason why I don't physically put him 1 is just because us probably drafting a quarterback here at 4. I think a rookie quarterback needs an offensive coordinator or an offensive style coach to work out. So my first one being Eric Bieniemy. And guys, we saw it today when Patrick Mahomes went down. Chad Henne stepped right into the system and moved the ball right down the field and scored. Period. I don't know how else to explain it. We need a offensive minded coach, a drastic overhaul on offense. Our defense sucks so bad at times because our offense sucks. We got to have an offense.
So there you have it, folks. That's Damon's top 3. He has Shane Steichen, Eagles offensive coordinator, number 3. Number 2 would be D'Amico Ryans, defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And number 1 on his list would be Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Who are you liking, Matt? Who was your top 3? And a little breakdown on which 3. I did not give mine. Would you like me to go first?
And do y'all want to kind of discuss all of our choices as well, or kind of do that at the end?
Yeah, we can do that at the end once we get all there and kind of see where we would head in that direction. Because also, just an update for everybody out there, there's a rumor going out that the Colts will shorten their list to a top 5 out of the 12 sometime next week. So for anybody who did not know.
I swear to God, if Jeff Saturday's on that top. We're gonna all right.
Yeah, we'll discuss that part.
So my 3 are pretty much the same as Damon's, but in a different order, right? And I think I've expressed a lot who my top guy is, but I haven't really told anyone he's my top guy. But I'll say my 3rd is definitely D'Amico Ryans. I'll be right back. Damon, you go with yours.
So Matt's gonna take a break here real quick. So yeah, I'm gonna go with my 3. This is I guess I wouldn't say that mine's is too different from theirs, but my number 3 is going to be so my number 3 is Eric Bieniemy. That's my number 3. I love Eric Bieniemy from the Kansas City Chiefs. I know there's a bunch of rumors going out on why he doesn't have a job, and whatnot. So personally, for me, the reason he's number 3 is because he doesn't call plays, and that's a reason that I would really want an offensive coordinator to be with our quarterback. Um, Personally, just I think the guy has the resume. I mean, I think his resume speaks for itself. I don't see why he hasn't gotten a job. We can make whatever rumors we want. We're honestly not in the rooms. We don't know, but I still think he's one of the top guys out there. Number 2 for me will be different than theirs. My number 2, which is it's been a pretty tight race. It's been tough for me to swap him in and out. But my number 2 is Mike Kafka,
Okay.
the New York Giants
Okay.
offensive coordinator. I really like Mike Kafka. I've watched what he's done with Daniel Jones and working with Daniel Jones. I mean, this is a guy that everybody said was garbage. They didn't want him. He was going to be out of the league. He was going to have no job. Looking at the way he uses Saquon Barkley, look at some of the bunch and stacked formations they got. Look at the receivers that they're working with. It's just been phenomenal, in my opinion, to watch what he's done with the offense that literally has like 3 talented players. I mean, they had to get some top offensive linemen and stuff in there. But Mike Kafka is my number 2, and it's been a tight race between Mike Kafka, Shane Steichen, and Eric Bieniemy. So any of those guys, they could easily have a top 5 list for me for all of those guys. I like Mike Kafka and what he's done. Number 1 for me though is DeMeco Ryans. I think DeMeco Ryans. I know everybody. We have our quarterback situation, and you really want your quarterback to stick with either a coordinator or offensive play caller or a quarterback coach. You want him to have that time with them. But one of the things that Damon said just really has stuck with me over the past few years, and it's been our leadership. And I think that's been something that's either lacking or has fall off. Our leadership and toughness, and that's really something that I want established when it comes into when they come into the building. Nico Ryan's is a former player, so he can sympathize with what the players go through, but he's also been on that coaching side to where he knows how hard it can be, how to coach, how to motivate, how to lead. I think outside of being a defensive coordinator, and look what he's done, they had Robert Saleh with that 49ers defense, and he makes that defense not even look as good as the defense that he has led. So I love DeMeco Ryans. Those would be my 3: DeMeco Ryans, Mike Kafka, and Eric Bieniemy, and it'd be a tight race with Shane Steichen in there. I like the way he calls plays as well.
I like that list, DeMarco. Here's my question. We go DeMeco Ryans. Who's our OC?
So I had mentioned this before. I know it'd be kind of like a pipe dream, but my thing would be is if I'm Chris Ballard, who has a former relationship with Eric Bieniemy, I would want to convince him that, hey, you're not calling plays in Kansas City. We're hiring DeMeco Ryans, who isn't calling plays. You can get your QB coach, just make sure DeMeco Ryans approves of this. But we have DeMeco Ryans as our head coach. We have Eric Bieniemy as our offensive coordinator, play caller, and then he gets his QB coach. That would be my combo right there, and hopefully get CJ Stroud and put him in a building with DeMeco Ryans and Eric Bieniemy as your 2 coaches there, your two minds that he gets to work with each and every day. That would be my plan.
What if he goes after a guy like Josh McCown?
Has
Do you think
Josh McCown, has he been calling plays?
He's interviewed a couple times for these HCs, but
I know he's been for head coach, but
what do you think? I mean, and do you think he starts pulling assistants? Because I'm just being real. I don't think we can pull really an OC level guy. I just don't think.
To be a lateral
all things considered, yeah, exactly. I just don't know our likelihood of grabbing someone and laterally having them move from OC to OC, especially in Indy.
See, that was the part for me that made it kind of easy, though, because of the fact that Chris Ballard already has that formal relationship with Eric Bieniemy, right? And then also for Eric Bieniemy, he hasn't gotten a job. He hasn't gotten a head coaching job. And a lot of people say it's because he's with Andy Reid. He's not calling plays. He's more behind the scenes. Even Andy Reid, when he calls a play, it gets relayed to Eric Bieniemy, and then Eric Bieniemy tells the play to Patrick Mahomes. So for me, and if I'm in that situation, if I'm Chris Ballard, I'm letting them know, like, hey, look, you're behind the scenes. We can, you come in here with a rookie quarterback, you do well with him, even if it takes maybe a year or two, and boom, you're in the coaching cycle. Now you've shown that you can do this with 2 different franchises.
Yeah.
There's no way in the hell you don't get a job and don't make huge money.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Chris goes college level here either for an OC.
That's another thing.
That would not surprise me. And then Chad asks here, if we take Ryans at HC, is Bradley safe? No, he's gone.
Yeah, I think the way they run their scheme. I mean, they like to run the front fours, which Zach, our friend Zach here, isn't a big fan of. They run the 4, but they play a lot more exotic. They like to confuse quarterbacks. They move around. They communicate. They fly around the football. Yeah, stunts and stuff like that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I don't think he would be safe. No, I don't think. I mean, if he knows him before, worked with him before, I think he may have the respect for him to say, "All right, I'll keep you on for a year and see how you do." But I don't know if they have a prior relationship or anything like that. So my guess would be no.
That wouldn't be a bad look. And I know we kind of went through just the list of candidates that we've interviewed, but I think Kellen Moore should get an interview.
Yeah,
I think about what he did with Cooper Rush, man. I think about what he did with that guy. And that Cowboys offense looks a lot better than it's looked in previous years. Every OC is going to have his game with balance, but man, I think Kellen Moore is brilliant. I think he is, man. I like his offense.
Yeah. See, so I mean, I what's the name? I've always looked at the talent he's had at receiver. Then you got a quarterback like Dak Prescott, who's been established. They had the top 5 O lines for most of the time that he was there. I think he's a good mind, but the thing that worries me is too many times we go with how Sean McVay got the job, and then you go to a guy, not with the Bengals. I think it was with the Vikings. A lot of these guys get the job, and that doesn't translate over to other teams. And so everybody keeps wanting to go with this young mind. I mean, look at Cliff Kingsbury. So it's it may or may not work, but I can't say that I'm the biggest fan of Kellen Moore. I just don't know if it'll even translate. I mean, I don't think not necessarily his play calling, but I can't say that he's the leader. Like if you think about the times where, as a matter of fact, yeah, when Cooper Rush has came in and Dak Prescott was out for a while, and then he came back, even their offenses look different because Kellen Moore isn't taking the lead to say this is how I'm going to call the game, regardless of who's playing for me. He just immediately changes it. So that means shows question in your leadership or your character to be able to continue to lead that team depending on who's
Yeah.
on it.
And I've seen from a leadership style as well that Dan Quinn has kind of been a little bit more of the outspoken leader on that team.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I do see that aspect of things, but man, I'm talking about scheme and things like that. Dude, I think that Cowboys scheme is great for our offense. I think, yeah, and going back to here, I know we started to compare rosters, but if you think about that Cowboys roster, they are built pretty similar to us. Think about it. Wide receiver core, pretty close, right? They're tied in by committee a lot of times. We have Jonathan Taylor. That's I definitely say that would be the edge, but offensive line, we're pretty similar. So I like maybe the flair that he give our offense.
I don't think it's a bad one. I just don't really see him as in the same light from offensive coordinator to head coach. I just don't really know if that translates for me. Just me personally, I just don't really see that translating.
And just to that point, if we're going off strictly candidates alone, I would say D'Amico would be the only one that I see the strongest transition from coordinator coach when it comes to leadership. You know what I mean?
That's why he's my number one.
Yeah. I'm with you. He said, no, bro, they got CeeDee Lamb. We've got nobody like that.
Hey, Zach, I need you to stop hating on this Colts receiving core, man.
I'm with you on a little bit, Zach.
Until we get a quarterback, we can't keep throwing our guys under the bus, man. Watch how my guy Paris Campbell go off if we get CJ Stroud, man. Hey, but Matt, so yeah, I'm pretty. You remember Damon's top 3? You said George was pretty close. My top 3 was Eric Bieniemy. In a tight race with Shane Steichen. My number 2 was Mike Kafka from the New York Giants, their offensive coordinator. Love what he's doing with those guys. And then my number 1 was D'Amico Ryans. If you want to take off from there, back tweet.
Yeah, my bad, man. There was somebody was popping off rounds down the street, so I had to kind of go outside with my piece and make sure nobody was coming close to the house.
All good. Got to take care of the family first.
Yeah, and then my daughter lost her water bottle and she was throwing a fit. So
real quick,
we
Matt,
looked for that.
before you go, real quick, Matt, I just want to address something that Tristan just said here. We are trying to trade Michael Pittman. Why, bro? I don't understand. So this is a completely false rumor. Please ignore this rumor. This is coming from some guy on Twitter. Every year he comes out with a fake tweet and it goes viral somehow from some Bears fans or whatever. It's not real at all. First of all, Chris Ballard has said he's stuck in the head coaching search. He has not looked at anything else. There's no way possible that he'd even be looking for a trade to trade Michael Pittman Jr. or any other Colts players. He's focused 100% on finding a head coach. That is not a real trade rumor. And then even if you go back and look at the trades, they're all favoring the Bears, which makes no sense. Chris Ballard always fleeces people in our trades. So just look at that. If it looks like we're winning the trade, then maybe it might be real. If we're not, then just ignore it.
Another big announcement: the Busch Light Clash is on February 5th. If anybody watches NASCAR, just saw it.
Right,
I'm a big NASCAR fan, and I know that the Clash is kind of boring because it's at the LA Coliseum, so it's like a quarter-mile track, like 20 cars on it. It's literally like being stuck in traffic in LA. It looks ridiculous. It's such a boring race. But yeah, so mine are very similar to Damon's, just a different order, right? I got D'Amico Ryans in my third spot. I do like his leadership. I like what he does with San Francisco and how tough their defense is. And I think if we did hire D'Amico Ryans, I would love to see how that elevates an already stud defense that we have. I think it fully depends on who he would bring in as OC and how that OC would elevate this offense. My second spot is Eric Bieniemy, because for obvious reasons, just like what Damon said, what he's able to do for that offense. My favorite part about Eric Bieniemy on his offense and what he does is how many moving parts are moving around. I don't know really if that is a hit at what Patrick Mahomes can do as reading and defense, mainly because of the amount of motion that he uses, the amount of movement he uses makes it easier to read the defense for the quarterback. And that's what I think would elevate a young QB coming into the NFL, is utilizing the amount of motions that Eric Bieniemy likes to use to be able to read NFL. But my number one is Shane. I like Shane because of his age. I think that's, to me, is what puts him over. And his resume is beautiful. When I read that thing, man, the fact that he started in college 10 years ago, and coached 1 year in college, coached 1 year in almost multiple different teams, and then landed a spot as OC is just stellar. I like what he does with Philly. I like the amount of motion that he uses. Just as you can see right now, I literally, as I'm saying that, sending people in motion. So I like moving parts, man. I don't like boring style offenses where you just run out of the huddle, line up, and then run that play. I like movement. I like switching formations.
You like it easy for the QB to be able to read defenses.
And not only that, man,
it just in the pre-snap.
It confuses defenses. It makes defenses weary. It makes them question. Exactly. Instead of what our offense had been all year, where we were adjusting to the defense as the play was going on, we're going to make them adjust.
Pre-snap, everything.
Everything has to be pre-snap, man. And that's what I like about Shane and Eric, is what their offenses do pre-snap.
Here's my question. Free agency, but draft-wise, does each one of those candidates change who we take and who we go after? You would hope not, right?
So I think for on personnel-wise,
I think
as far as who they want to look at.
I think for quarterback, I don't think it changes. I think for both guys, C.J. Stroud would work perfectly in their offense, in my opinion. I think Bryce Young would fit well in their offenses.
I don't think the only thing that changes is for Eric Bieniemy, he would then have to come down from his expectations of working with Patrick Mahomes every day to working with a rookie, to have to remember that. And then as far for Shane Steichen, it's to go from you got a super mobile quarterback TB going to a Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, or if we go with Will Levis, one of those guys who are a bit less mobile, unless we pick Anthony Richardson to go with the guy who's as mobile as Jalen Hurts. So it's just kind of that transition.
Or
I'm okay with it.
Fields.
I don't think that trade's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think that either. I feel like if the Bears were that stupid,
I think this is the draft. When it comes to the draft, it's all conspiracy at that point, right? So Chicago is literally doing this thing where they say, "Hey, we're gonna look at all these quarterbacks and just to look at them." Right?
They're going to force a team.
They're making people panic.
And to shake up, exactly, to shake up the top
They're going to force a team to give up 2-3 first-round picks for a guy that they were never going to take anyway. And who's going to be the guy to be dumb to sit there and do it? And that's
San Fran did it. San Fran did it to Chicago.
Exactly, and Chicago wasn't even taking the guy.
No, San Fran wasn't. San Fran wasn't taking the guy. San Fran wanted Solomon Thomas. And they shook up. They shook it up by just making one little comment about looking at quarterbacks. Chicago
no, I thought you were talking about the year with Trey Lance. That's what.
No. The spot where Chicago traded up one pick. They traded up one spot to get Mitchell Trubisky. When 49ers were clearly getting Solomon Thomas in that spot. Chicago got hustled, so now they're trying to hustle back.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's kind of a question I brought up to Marco as well. If we go D'Amico Ryans, who are we pulling for OC? Because DeMarco said that like his dream scenario would be Bieniemy moving laterally because he'd get much more options and get to call his own plays in our offense. I don't know how realistic it is for us to pull somebody laterally, but what are your thoughts here? Do we go college route, assistance route?
My thing is if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm not switching teams, right? No matter what. He's been in the NFL for I don't know what, 20 years plus.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't need to switch from the Chiefs OC to be the Colts OC with a rookie quarterback. You know, I mean, if he did, that'd be awesome, but I don't think that's something that I would do if I was him. If I was him, I'm staying with Patrick Mahomes if I'm doing a lateral move, if I'm talking OC. If I'm talking head coach, yeah, I'm taking the job. I'll take the job with a rookie quarterback. Yeah. But if I'm doing a lateral move, no, I'm not doing that. You know, that's like another situation right now where Tennessee is talking to Chris Harris, trying to bring Chris Harris over as a defensive assistant, DB coach. Right, but he's actually interviewed with 5 or 6 different teams for defensive coordinator. So if I'm Chris Harris, why would I even humor Tennessee at that point? You know what I mean? Instead of if someone offers me the defensive coordinator job, I'm taking it over taking a lower end job when I've interviewed for the C job 6 times. I know my value. And that's what Eric Bieniemy's got to understand. He's got to, if he's not going to do a lateral move as an OC to a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing about Eric is that guy's he's a running backs guy. You know what I mean? He's a running backs coach who runs a air raid offense right now with Kansas City. I mean, dating back, he was, AP's running backs coach. With all
he could possibly have a whole different system.
I wouldn't even consider KC's offense air raid.
Oh, I don't know what you'd call it. I don't know what you'd call it because there's so many.
That's more West Coast than I would ever say a team has ran West Coast in the last 15 years.
Yeah,
but you see, but in the route tree, I can understand there's parts of a West Coast offense missing in Kansas City, but when you look at their route tree, it's definitely a West Coast route tree.
And like what I'm saying, if we're looking from top to bottom, how our roster is built right now, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, historically, what Eric comes from, this is a great fit.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, we need to go more West Coast with these shots.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I mean, we talk about it all the time. West Coast is what this offense has been built to do for the last 5 years, and Chris Ballard has built it perfectly. And that's why we were so terrible this year.
You need more speed. You need more speed at receiver, though, if that's the case.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if we need more speed.
We don't.
You got Paris Campbell. You got Paris Campbell.
not
who
banking
runs
on him.
You got Paris Campbell who runs a 4.3.
But here's the thing:
you got-
Michael
you
Pittman
got-
has shown that he is stellar in the West Coast route tree.
Yes,
Exactly.
he came from a West Coast college. I get it, and ran a West Coast offense there, but I don't want to.
I'm just saying, like, see, this is the
No,
thing.
no,
where
no. I understand. I want
this
more
is the thing
speed.
where this is where I go with you and Zach on that, is because Paris Campbell has speed, and then we go with Alec Pierce, and Alec Pierce has speed too. So it's like you got to use those guys specifically to fit them, and this is why I say we need the right coach, because the problem is for a long time we haven't been getting out of our receivers the best out of them. And that's what your coach is supposed to do, especially when your head coach is a play caller. I mean, you look at the year that we had with Michael Pittman having 1,000 yards. Who was our next closest receiver? Our next closest receiver had 330 yards. This year we had 900, 600, 500 out of guys.
I want to
consistency we don't give them.
I want to touch base on this because I think a lot of fans misinterpret how coaching staff works. Just because Andy Reid is an offensive minded head coach doesn't mean that offensive playbook is his offensive playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That is Eric Bieniemy's playbook.
Yeah.
That is his game plan. The OC's job specifically is to build the game plan and draw plays. That's his job. That's not Andy Reid's job.
Fits that.
Andy Reid might call the plays on Sunday. Sure, he might call the plays, but he's calling the plays that Eric Bieniemy drew up. He's calling the plays according to the game plan that Eric Bieniemy drew up. That was the same thing with Frank Reich and Marcus Brady. That's why Marcus Brady got fired first, because Frank Reich was calling plays off of a sheet that Marcus Brady created. That's how that works. Just in case there's confusion on, because a lot of people are like, oh well, does Eric Bieniemy make Andy Reid look better?
And that's why Frank Reich got so much backlash for firing Marcus.
Right. Exactly. It's easy to confuse, right? Like, if you have an offensive-minded head coach and you have a defensive coordinator, that defensive coordinator runs that whole defense. He calls the plays, he does the game plans, he draws everything, right? And then people get confused thinking that because the head coach is offensive-minded, that his hand is so deep into that offense that he controls the whole thing, and he doesn't, because he still has to control 53-man roster. Right? It's not his job to make the game plan. It's not his job to draw the plays anymore. You're done with that. You're the head coach now. Your time management.
Yep. Delegate. You got to delegate.
Yes. And that is what I think was one of our issues here in Indy, was Frank had an issue with delegating. And the reason he had an issue with delegating is because Doug Peterson had an issue with delegating. Frank Reich said it. Doug Peterson called all the plays in Philly, and that's why Frank Reich wanted to come here and call all the plays, because Frank Reich didn't have that chance in Philly. Everybody's like, oh, Frank Reich was the one who took Nick Foles. No. Yeah, he drew the plays and all that, but Doug Peterson was the one that called the plays in that certain situation.
And that's exactly why I think we'll be okay if we were to take a defensive coordinator. That's why I don't have the complete problem with it, because of the fact that a defensive coordinator instantly has to go to delegating. It's not the most important thing in the world for him to call defensive plays, so he can instantly delegate his offense, his defense to his coaching staff to be.
But then here's my question: is who's our OC going to be? Damon asked Damon asked me the question when you walked away.
Damon had asked me that as well. I don't know if he
college
or what.
Eric Bieniemy, and I don't think Eric Bieniemy is going to do a lateral OC to OC.
See, so people keep saying that, but the thing is like he hasn't got a job in what? It's been 3 years, right? I want to say might be 4. I'll say 3 to 4 years. He hasn't gotten a job. So the prior relationship that he has to Chris Ballard. Now this is just my thinking. If I'm Chris Ballard and I'm sitting in that office and I'm sitting with Eric Bieniemy, I'm like, hey, look, we have a favorite candidate here right now, and our favorite candidate is Eric Bieniemy, DeMeco Ryans. So we're gonna take DeMeco Ryans, and you, on the other hand, you want to get a coaching job.
But Ballard, But Ballard doesn't hire OCs and DCs. That's on the head coach.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, I mean, of course, you got to get D'Amico Ryans on board. So,
Yeah.
of course, if D'Amico Ryans is on board, was saying,
So if I'm Chris Ballard, I'm not talking to anyone about taking
Well,
an OC or DC job until
you also
D'Amico
gotta-
Ryans is on board.
you also got to think D'Amico Ryans is a former player, and Eric Bieniemy was a running backs coach. It's like, so I like the way your plan worked. I'm just saying, if it worked out that way, you got to convince D'Amico Ryans, whoever the head coach is, to go with this idea from the jump. So, everybody, let's
I think that's like wishful thinking.
Yeah, no, I said it's a pipe dream. I already said it was a pipe dream.
That's like your shoulder came out your fucking socket trying to reach for that. Right
Yeah. I for sure was.
That's being 4'11" trying to reach the top shelf.
Well, yep, exactly what it is. You better get your step stool.
Yeah.
But so that was my idea, and it's like, I know it was a pipe dream or whatever, but I'm saying, if you could convince Eric Bieniemy to coach with D'Amico Ryans, you got a quarterback, and hopefully, I would say another reach, CJ Stroud. We get that lined up, and at least be able to have that for 2 years. Boom. Everybody gets what they want. You get your quarterback developed right. You get a great leader. Eric Bieniemy gets his job in a year or 2 years, and boom. And I think that's a system that could really work. And then again, as long as you don't lose your leader in D'Amico Ryans, he should be able to find another offensive coordinator to work the system that he sees fit to work.
And you can only hope that we're seeing things in the eyes of Jim Irsay here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
want to see it.
But let's be real here. That's who's making the decision.
Yeah, I guess that brings us to the other conversation is, so out of the 5 that we break down to end up being the top candidates, do we see Jim Irsay stepping in and saying that Saturday is still going to be a top candidate? How you guys seen it?
He will. He will. And there's no way around it. No matter what we want, there's no way, because he gets the excuse. Look what I walked into. He gets to say that.
He does get that excuse, but to me, that's a valid excuse. I can't remember the tweet that I saw, but there was a tweet the other day that kind of like made me think maybe he could be a top 5 candidate because what?
No, you were bringing up a different tweet. I was about to say, so I saw a tweet that said, when Jeff Saturday took the interim head coaching job, these were his words. I'm coming in here to base my job off of wins and losses. I will come in here and coach this team to the best of my ability. And if we lose and I suck at it, I will say, hey, I'm no good. I will go about my way. And if I am, then I will be here to try and get this job or another job that may be available. And I feel like if he's going off his word, to keep his word, to say that, hey, I based this job off of wins and losses, you went 1-7.
That's true. That's a good point.
In my opinion, if we base it off of what he did to lead this team, if he was supposed to come in and be better, because I believe with Frank Reich, we still would have probably won like 3 games. I mean, I'm sorry, as much as we want to say it, I think Frank Reich would at least won 3 of those games. So I just feel like after this breakdown and we get to 5, I honestly don't feel that Jeff Saturday should be a part of that 5.
And here's the thing, I see them talking about it right now in the comments where Chad and Zach are talking, and Chad says Saturday will make top 3. Zach says I hope not, and then Chad says they're going to try to make it look like it was actually a tough decision to lure teams to interview Saturday. No one has even requested or sniffed the idea of interviewing Jeff Saturday.
Nobody. Not anybody.
For very obvious reasons.
Not any of the 5 teams that are available.
No, we waited so long to interview Jeff Saturday. We interviewed our special teams coordinator before we interviewed Jeff Saturday.
And Jeff Saturday was supposed to be our last interview. Oh, wow, that's so cool, son.
Yeah, I don't even think Jim Irsay is going to even – I don't know, man. I mean, maybe because he's his buddy, he'll be top 5, but –
well, let's be real here. Jeff probably gave a hell of an interview.
Hey, honestly, I'll agree with Chad for the fact that they will make it look, if that's what we do. Make it look. I mean, because honestly, to be clear, you got to make sure that Rooney Rule is clear. So I guess that's a point to agree with there. But at the end of the day, I don't think he should be in consideration for the legit top 5. And if it comes out that when we read those 5 and he's not there, I will not be surprised. That's
That's
just me.
all. That's what I was going to say. Just to be clear, y'all, none of us want him in the mix.
Yeah.
Just
No,
to be clear.
There's also 2 other names I don't want in the mix. And I'm going to say it like this. Recycled head coaches. 3 words. Recycled head coaches should never be recycled. Raheem Morris
Mm-mm.
and Dan Quinn. Raheem Morris, I don't know if a lot of people know, but he was actually the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for about, I think, 3 years where he was fired. And he had never had a winning season.
Were those the Josh Freeman years?
I think that was his quarterback. So.
But my thing is I understand that people can change in about a decade, but you're not going to change that much in a decade. I mean, Josh McDaniels, it's been over a decade since he was a head coach, and he looks just as bad as he did in Denver.
So I actually have a ranking for you guys. If you guys wanted to hear the way I had the 12 ranked out and see what you guys thought about that.
But real quick, dude, Dan Quinn's staff in Atlanta was sick.
Oh
Yeah. He
had
had
a
Kyle
loaded
Shanahan.
staff.
And that dude could make any
Dude,
quarterback look
Let's
good.
just think about that for a second. So the chances of him bringing a staff that loaded in are very low.
Facts, because they're all head
remember-
coaches now.
Yeah. I mean, but that means he still knows some people, though. I wouldn't.
Al
But-
Harris. Al
But
Harris
here's my
is their
thing. Here's
DC.
my thing, though. If Dan Quinn comes here, I said this earlier in the group chat. If Dan Quinn comes here, there's a possibility that Matt Ryan stays.
If Dan Quinn comes here, Al Harris will be our defensive coordinator or assistant HC, and our OC is going to be someone super random. I don't even want to guess, but Al Harris will be our DC. Chris Ballard coached him in college.
As long as he's a hell of a leader. I mean,
look how those Dallas corners look.
So Zach, I believe Dan Quinn did have McVay. When McVay left, I think that was when Kyle Shanahan stepped up.
This game is so uneven.
And then Kyle Shanahan went to San Fran after they went to the Super Bowl. I think that's how that went down. I think you're right. Yeah, this game is so lopsided. It's not even funny.
So yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'll read off my 12 ranked here from 1
No
to
one
12.
cares. I'm just kidding.
And just see where you guys' thoughts are on how I had this ranked. So I had Eric D'Amico Ryans at number 1. Number 2 was Mike Kafka for me, and it's a mix between the 3. So I got 3 there, kind of tied for second. So Mike Kafka, Eric Bieniemy, Shane Steichen are going to be my 1 through 4. Then at number 5, I had Ejiro Evero, Broncos defensive coordinator, Bubba Ventrone at number 6, Dan Quinn at number 7. Number 8 was Brian Callahan. I also had Rich Bisaccia mix in there. Number 9 was Aaron Glenn. Number 10, Wink Martindale. Number 11, Raheem Morris. And then number 12, Jeff Saturday.
I wouldn't even put Jeff last.
that's
as much as I don't want Jeff here, Jeff is not my last candidate.
Yeah, I just put him on there because he was on the list. And so I just had to make sure I put every candidate on the list above him.
But I think it's a good order. I think the last 3 can be mixed around. Either way, they're still the last 3. But yeah, the top is all that matters to me, and I agree 100%. I think all those tops are definitely solid.
Right on. I hope the Colts see it that way.
Yeah, me too. Hey, not gonna lie though, man. Will Levis, hey, that man's about to be our quarterback next year.
I'm scared for that, bro. Oh, actually,
I wanted to make a comment about Will Levis.
I was about to say, I've seen that comment in here from Dan Knight, and I just wanted to make it known to all Colts fans because I've really sounded like a real Will Levis hater, and I feel kind of bad because he's like a 23-year-old kid or something like that. And like, I don't actually hate the kid. The problem is like what Matt said when we had a previous conversation. I hate when somebody's being overrated to a point where they get put somewhere where they're not supposed to be. And this
Yes.
is exactly what happened with Zach Wilson, where he rose up in the drafts and
Zach
people
Willis.
made up stuff.
Or Zach Wilson. Yeah.
Zach Wilson, and they made up stuff about Justin Fields, and Justin Fields dropped from was supposedly the number 2 to number 11. And that's what's going to happen with Will Levis. And this all happened with one throw with Zach Wilson. And everybody, when people sit here and tell me, and they explain to me why Will Levis is good, they never give me any situation, anything that shows great quarterback intangibles outside of he has the prototypical style, he's played in the pro system, and big arm. That's it. It's not accuracy. It's not the it factor. It's not. It's not. He's a gamer. It's not any of that. Go ahead, Matt.
I agree. I hate discussing quarterback prospects with fans. Fans think that all that matters is how far somebody throws, how they move. Will Levis dips his shoulders. I don't know if anybody ever sees it. When he throws that ball, his shoulders are going down. When his shoulders are going down, that means that man's foot is not planning properly. That is why his deep accuracy is off. I don't care how strong your arm is. If you can't hit that throw downfield, I'm not a fan of you. And this is a reason I'm not the biggest Michael Vick fan. Everybody loves Michael Vick because he's the best mobile quarterback of all time, and I agree. I love him.
He can
could
launch
launch it.
90 yards.
90 yards, but he's not hitting nothing he wants to hit at all.
That's why he needed Deshaun Jackson to run a 4-1.
I also don't like Levis's velocity. A lot of people put it in their pros. When I watch it, it's in my cons. Why? Because his velocity is exactly like Jacoby Brissett's. He has no control of the velocity.
Touch.
There's no touch.
If
None
that was if strictly size and physical attributes were a thing for the Colts, Jacob Eason would be our quarterback right now, y'all.
Correct.
Exactly.
That's the exact same size, exact same throwing motion, exact everything. And if you could say Jacob Eason had a better college career, he had a much better college career than Will Levis.
I'm just saying, if you want somebody who throws like Will Levis, we might as well bring Jacoby Brissett back on a cheap deal and just draft a top wide receiver or a top defensive end or a top cornerback at the 4th pick. That's all he reminded me of when I watched him play. I went and I watched the film. I watched people scouting. And as I'm listening to their scouting reports, as I'm watching the scouting reports, I'm watching the videos of his bad throws, his good throws, all this stuff. I'm not impressed, man. I'm not impressed. His velocity is terrible. His decision-making is terrible. His placement is terrible. The dude throws behind receivers. When there's a throw that goes downfield deep, if there's a safety over the top and a corner underneath, he's thrown an interception every single time. He can't throw a post route for the life of him. He can't throw a corner route for the life of him. He doesn't know how to put the ball in the place for the receiver to get it. He's going to put it to where it's just a toss-up.
Where it's just for everybody.
Yeah, if he doesn't have a guy like Megatron, he's not going to be successful in the NFL. And Megatron has been retired, and no one has been like him since.
That staff is insane.
I'm just saying, like, that dude, Will Levis is not good. And, Zach, I disagree. I actually saw plenty of mock drafts that have us taking Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. I've only seen one. I've only seen one that has us taking Will Levis, and that was months ago.
I've seen a lot that have us taking Will Levis, and that's another thing that I have a problem with. All these mock drafts, they also had us taking Carson Strong out of Nevada last year. Guy ended up going undrafted. So, I mean, I wouldn't look too much into the mock drafts. I just want to let everybody know out there that I'm really not a Will Levis hater. If we were late first round, late second round, and we took him, that's a little bit different. My problem is when you put these expectations on a top 10 quarterback, everybody expects him to be the savior of a franchise. And when they're not that guy, they're labeled a bust and their career is over in a couple years. And then boom, they get shipped off somewhere else to a different team, or maybe they can make it if they find a good offensive coordinator and head coach or something, or they just dip off out of the sights of everybody. And so that's the thing is if a guy doesn't give you things to really go off of and to look at, even when you looked at a Max Duggan against that Georgia team, he had some wild throws that were just they
debatable
didn't look right or whatever.
Debatable.
But he showed you that every single play, every down he comes in, he's coming into battle. He's going to war for his guys.
But
And that's something that you don't see from Will Levis. You don't even see the gamer ability. This is just
Right.
it's just things
Right.
that I don't see where people are like, let's bring him up from a back 32 player all the way into the top 10 for absolutely no reason I have seen.
I'm gonna say this, and a lot of fans don't know this about me, but I am the biggest college prospect critic you'll ever meet. I'm not the guy that's gonna be like, hey, he's number one. I won't say that ever. I won't. When Trevor Lawrence came out, I said he was gonna be the biggest bust of that year, and maybe I was wrong. That's fine, but he's not what they said he was. So in my opinion, I was on the right side of the spectrum because everyone said he was going to come in the NFL. He was going to be like Peyton Manning or he was going to be like Andrew Luck. He was instantly supposed to take Jacksonville Jaguars to the playoffs, and he didn't. He didn't. He didn't look good. And I don't care what you can say about who the head coach was, right? Because here's my thing. Andrew Luck went 11-5, 11-5, 11-5, demolished the division with Chuck Pagano as head coach, and that man knew nothing about offense except for throwing the fucking football.
Our OC was Pep Hamilton then, right?
Not at first. It was Bruce Arians, and then
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians left, and then Pep Hamilton came in. Which Pep Hamilton we all expected to do well because he
The
was
familiarity.
Andrew Luck's offensive or head coach in Stanford. So yeah, and I'm gonna go back and touch base on what you said. We have a private chat in here too, and Damon sent this in here. So all the people who are like, "Hey, Dan Quinn is, or you're a top candidate." This is why Dan Quinn looked good, right? The year the Atlanta Falcons went to the Super Bowl, head coach Dan Quinn, assistant head coach, wide receivers coach Raheem Morris, assistant to the head coach Steve Scarnecchia. I don't know how to say that name. Offensive coach, offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan. Quarterbacks, Matt LaFleur. Running backs, Bobby Turner. Tight ends, Wade Harmon. Offensive line, Chris Morgan. Assistants offensive line, Keith Carter. Offensive assistant, Mike LaFleur. Offensive assistant, Mike McDaniel. All those guys.
4 out of them are head coaches.
Yeah, 4 of them are head coaches. The rest of them are coordinators.
Loaded up more than a drug addict, boy, I tell you.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Dan Quinn did absolutely nothing to go to that Super Bowl and lose it. He literally
see, I don't want to say nothing. That's still great delegation.
Oh yeah, that's great delegation.
That's what you want to. That's what you want to have in your head coach that doesn't necessarily call plays and whatnot. You want to have a great delegator to be able to spread that out and put together a staff. A lot of times when you're not a coach that's calling plays, that's your job is to put that staff together, and then eventually, like you got to see if they can continue to be that guy. And that's what Dan Quinn fell off of. What got him fired is when it got to the later years, he couldn't keep putting staffs together to build Matt Ryan, and that's where he kind of fell off there.
Facts.
I got into a little debate with somebody earlier that said Matt Ryan, that everything wasn't his fault. Whew, that was one.
Everything wasn't his fault.
Well, I meant like
everything wasn't his fault.
He was basically putting all the blame on everybody else except for Matt Ryan.
Oh no. Matt Ryan takes part of the blame, and the first part of the blame is the fact that him coming here made us change schemes. That's where the issues began.
You expect a couple things when you draft or sign a veteran. Decision making, protecting the football. Matt Ryan failed in every aspect that a veteran is supposed to bring to your team. Every single one. He sucked. I blame Matt Ryan a crap ton.
I need a hammer and a nail for what Damon just said right there.
I mean, I hate to go back to this, and the guys, we don't want this guy to be our quarterback either, but look how much better the offense looked in that Washington game, man. We're sitting here like, oh my goodness, quarterback's getting out of the pocket. Now imagine what a guy like CJ Stroud, Bryce Young would look like in that. Some food
Bro, there was a specific play that I'm pretty sure it was an incomplete pass, but Sam rolled out and he like made three different defenders miss the sack and then threw the ball to Alec Pierce. Pretty sure it was incomplete.
But that play was, I was like, man, just to have a quarterback who could have made that throw.
Exactly. And we're looking at a backup level, practice squad level quarterback in Sam. Not
Yeah.
to discredit him, y'all, because he played pretty average for
Did
us,
you
below
guys
average.
did you
But
guys already get to that question from Dan up there?
Which one?
It says, "Yep." So why take someone who doesn't play for his team?
Is that in regards to Will
he's
Levis?
talking about Levis sitting out of the bowl games. What he's talking about?
No, I don't think that shit really matters. I mean, honestly,
Oh.
I don't think. I feel like that's totally up to the player if they want to play or if they don't want to play. I think it's courageous if a player will still play, but if somebody doesn't want to play, I don't knock them for it.
It's a lot different if you're playing in the New Era Pinstripe Bowl in the national championship. So
Yeah, I think that's two different things. So yeah, what it was is he took two specific games. I can't remember the second game, but he took the Jaguars game, the game that we won, and tried to basically say that was for all the reasons of why Matt Ryan was good and whatnot. And then somebody else showed a stat from the other Jags game that he completely ignored, that Matt Ryan threw 3 interceptions in, and a lot of those were his fault and stuff like that. And just like Damon said, I mean, ultimately, when you're bringing in a veteran, you expect a veteran to not turn over the ball, to take care of the ball, not to fumble 13 times, and not to have the most turnovers in the NFL. So,
Bro, I want Jalen Hurts. Fuck it. Send the 4 to Philly. Jesus.
that's the other reason why I keep telling people, like, if you don't get CJ Stroud or Bryce, you trade back and you take Anthony Richardson and you just go be exciting.
guys, I'm telling you, Justin Fields can be developed.
Bro,
into that.
so here's the thing. I wanted either Justin Fields or Jalen Hurts when they were in that draft.
So what was that rumor? Because I was told, and I think we talked about it, Chris Ballard was 100% locked on taking Justin Fields.
It wasn't a rumor.
That wasn't a rumor. The problem
wasn't a rumor.
Frank didn't want a rookie quarterback. He wanted to go with a veteran.
But I knew that was the truth, right? That Chris was going to go Justin Fields.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he was high.
Could you imagine?
We wouldn't be where we are right now.
Oh God, we'd be having a different conversation. How do we fix the defense? Right? It'd be something like that. How do we fix the offensive line?
It wouldn't even be like that. I mean,
it wouldn't even be like that. It'd be like, God damn it, we were this close to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, that was a tough one because that's why I keep saying Chris Ballard's fault in my eyes is two things. It's being cheap, or no, I'll say three. He doesn't respect the premier positions, paying those. Being cheap, and then listening to his head coach way too much. Those were my three faults on Chris Ballard. And if he wouldn't have kept trying to stick to exactly what Frank wanted, we wouldn't have had this huge problem.
And that's the thing that's kind of like weird about it is that Irsay's, if you got the money, spend it kind of guy.
Well,
Irsay's not
that's what Irsay did this year.
Yeah. And truth be told, I'm grateful that we're in this position now. I am.
Which position, with the 4th overall pick, or
needing a new head coach? Like we're getting the rebuild that we've wanted this year. We got a little bit of money in the bank. Yeah, we got some penny pinching we may have to do next year, or it will hit us this year going into next year. Kind of depending on the Matt Ryan thing, but I think situational wise, did I like Irsay stepping in? None of us did, but I mean, this puts us in the spot that we get our coach and we get our quarterback. So no excuses from this point on out.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree too much there. I think that honestly, if we would have made better decisions, we'd still be saving Frank to keep his job. The tough part is it took a lot for Jim to step in and say, hey, these are changes that I want to make or whatever. Having to step in, make Chris Ballard go get some free agents, and then having the Matt Ryan deal, of course. So I think we could have. There was a couple things that we could have fixed in there, but ultimately, I think it's the fresh start that we needed, and hopefully there's not too much turnover because I still think we can make some cap space out by cutting a few guys, and then boom, we can be right back to having some top-tier cap space, and then, being competitive. I really think this could be an easy turnaround for us.
I want to answer this question real quick. Chad asked, do you think head coach interviews were asked who they'd take at number 4 and why? Does that answer have weight in who gets the job? I actually think it's part of it.
I do.
It's got to be part of it. Why? Because it's not who you take at number 4. I think it's more of what do your QB ranks look like? Because QB is clearly the biggest issue that we have. And when you're in one of those interviews, they want to see if you guys are on the same page, if you're able
You
to
hit the nail on the head. And I
if
can
you're
tell you why.
if your ability to see
Correct.
to scout is there at the same time, not just the head coach.
You hit the nail on the head there. So I got a buddy who interviewed for a front office position for a professional sports team. And when you interview for any front office job, you have to give a presentation. And your presentation is going to have why y'all suck, right? What we're good at, and how we're going to improve. And in that, draft picks, free agency, cap, all of that involved.
So front office job or head coach?
One of them was a head coach, but it doesn't necessarily matter because what Matt's talking about here is you can't have someone that's ideology, outlook, and plans for the team is completely different than the 60 other people working in your front office. You cannot have that, and that is, and you are absolutely right, Matt. Is it everything? No, but you have to come in your interview. Hey, look, we pick number 4. This is a huge opportunity for the Colts. We haven't had an opportunity to pick a skilled player 4 since 2010, 2011, right? So there's a lot weighing on a new coach here. So absolutely, they're 100% answering who they're taking and what their plans are. What's the opportunity here? Because that has to match Irsay's outlook. That has to match Chris Ballard's outlook. Has to match the scouts, everybody. Because to this point, they're still scouting people. What are we looking at here? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, man. I think the thing is like we've seen the disconnect between Chuck Pagano and Ryan Grigson for all those years, and then we did see, as much as Chris Ballard's not going to admit it, there was a clear disconnect between Chris Ballard and Frank Reich. Now that Chris Ballard is back into that hiring mode of who he's going to work side to side with, he's going to want to make sure that he has somebody that's on the same page.
So I disagree for the point that like if like imagine like a lot of the coordinators and people that we're interviewing, these guys might not even be paying attention to lick who's even in the top 10 as far as coaching wise because of the fact of where they are.
Oh no, that's bullshit. They definitely
like,
do.
I'm not. I'm like they're focused on like they even been talking about it all week in the media. Like, hey, I'm getting ready to play this game on Saturday. I don't know if I'm ready for this necessary interview. Now my thing was
But I understand that. But here's the thing. These coaches, they have a life outside of coaching. To think that they don't see what's going on.
It's a promotion.
Yeah,
for all of them.
If they're all looking for a promotion, they're all looking at quarterbacks. They're all looking at top tier. They're looking at where these teams are. The 5 teams that need head coaches. These coordinators that have games coming up or don't know more, they know where these teams are at in the draft, and they know their most pressing need, and they're looking. They're seeing. And to think that these guys are not watching college football on Saturday is crazy. They definitely do.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're not
agree
watching.
With DeMarco on one thing. DeMarco, I'm gonna agree with you on one thing. I don't think maybe in the first interview they're gonna come in with like, dude, who are you taking up for?
Yeah, maybe not the first one, but in the second one,
yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
DeMarco, that's the point you're trying to make, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying because it's like when they come in there, it's like you're thinking like, okay, you guys are a top 5 pick. Like, I want to know why. You know, what was you guys' issue that you had? And I'm thinking that, I mean, they're not going to tell that to the team, but they're thinking that in their head and it's thinking, why can I come prove that I'm going to fix that without a quarterback? Because it's like, if I'm coming in and I'm the head coach, this GM that I'm about to start working with, he, for some reason, may not even be thinking quarterback.
So my first interview for a coaching position at a high school, I don't know if this is going to be equal to what the pro level is, right? One of the first questions was, because they knew what I was applying for. I was applying for a defensive coordinator. The first thing that they asked me was, what are the issues you see on my defense? It's not me looking at them like, hey, this is what I see wrong. They said, have you watched any tape on us? What is wrong with our defense? Exactly. And I didn't even tell. The first thing I said was, you're in the wrong scheme for the league that you're in. Like, I'm very, you know me, I'm very intricate. I'm going to look at every aspect. So I looked up the whole league. I looked at every game film of every team. I watched the teams. I watched that team that I was applying for, and I was like, you're in the wrong scheme. So to me, that I think it's similar in the NFL. If you're interviewing somebody for your head coach position, you're going to ask them,
No, I
what
think
have
that
you seen of us?
I think that relates completely, and that's why exactly why I say to you guys, like, I don't really think they think about draft position until a later point, because it's like, if you were, say, if you guys were either going to interview for a Colts coaching job, the head coaching job, and the GM, and I'm the GM, say I come to you guys and I say, hey, if you look back, like say you looked at the film and you looked at this team for 17 weeks and tell me, what do you see as the problem on this team?
And I'll tell you, like, let's say you just interviewed me.
Yeah,
My first thing is I'm going to say is quarterback.
it would be quarterback in your opinion.
Yes, it would be quarterback in my opinion. Because, like you said, these guys are coaching, they're working, they're whatever, right throughout the season. So they don't clearly see everything. They don't have that enough time to look at everything about the Colts. So the first thing you're going to see is quarterback, and that's what they're going to say, and that just goes to the draft pick.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, they might not.
That makes sense if you would evaluate and see it that way. I would just say that for me, if I'm looking at it, I would say competitive toughness.
Yeah, but we've watched every single game, so that's a little bit.
No. I know
we're
saying we've seen a bit more than what a coach would have the time.
Right. Maybe a guy that's coming from like Denver, or Detroit that we interviewed. Maybe those guys who are not coaching right now that have had time to go ahead and look back at everything. But like you said, a lot of these guys, they don't have the time, so they probably looked at little pieces here and there. They watched a little bit of film in their time where, like, maybe they're eating a fucking sandwich during lunch or something. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like we do.
And that's specifically why I would say, like, just like when we first interviewed after Chuck Pagano, and a lot of the word was that we didn't want to pick a guy based on who was choosing the job based off quarterback. And so it's like, if you're choosing this job just on quarterback, we don't want you. We want you to be able to build and lead this team according to who's here and who's in the building, regardless. And I think that's going to be very important outside of that.
Did y'all see that flag?
I did not see that flag.
It might have been a couple plays ago for you, but he just got a flag. One of the linebackers for the Giants got a flag for hitting
good tackle
a receiver from Philly with his shoulder. Completely hit it. His shoulder hit the helmet, and it was just terrible fucking. That's a terrible flag in my opinion.
So I think. I mean, honestly, in our situation, I feel like I feel like we both made good points there, but I feel like you guys' point is going to be really key to a guy that's walking into the building, because I feel like a GM might even ask the question and say, "What do you guys feel we need to fix outside of quarterback?" Because that's obviously going to be a big thing there. I think somebody would need to figure out what's going to be next after that situation, because there's two obvious things that we need in our situation, which is head coach and quarterback. So,
right.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of points to be made there, and there's another touchdown by the Eagles. It's 28-0. Yeah, I knew this thing was going to be. Whew, I didn't think it was going to be. It is ugly, but man.
No to Martindale.
I tried to tell y'all, man. I mean, you get, like, when you try and blitz all day and run those exotic schemes, sometimes you just need to match up and play zone when you got a running quarterback like that.
Especially when you're running back by committee like Philly is. Nightmare in the making.
I still think Philly got bailed out by a terrible fucking penalty, but that's all right. On that one play.
Yeah, I didn't see the penalty. Why are they going for two?
I'm not there yet. I didn't even get to the touchdown yet. See, this is why we need a mobile quarterback.
I mean, at least a guy who can move.
Yeah, that dude just kind of like just ran straight into the end zone. You remember a couple years ago, Damon, when we used to say, "Hey, let's make Nick Sirianni our head coach"? Remember those days? Look at him now. You remember that? I remember. We used to debate between Nick Sirianni or Matt Eberflus. We were in a good position either way.
You remember? Well, I was just about to say, last year, the reason I really started to like Shane Steichen is because last year Nick Sirianni was calling plays. This year, Shane Steichen is calling plays, and I think he's a better play caller than Sirianni.
He probably is, but
I'm just tired of this Philadelphia stuff. I feel like the Colts and Philadelphia have been intertwined for the last 10 and 11 years.
I agree.
Oh my goodness. We swapped free agents out. We swapped draft picks out, coaching, assistants. Dude, I'm willing to bet there's over 40 people that we have shared between players, staff, and coaches with the Eagles since 2010.
We should have let them keep Matt Pryor.
And Carson Wentz.
No, we should have kept.
Nah, we should have kept Carson, bro.
Carson's going to be a practice squad quarterback now, man.
Yeah, but I feel like he wouldn't be in a press quarterback with us this year. I feel like he would have been even better.
I think we would have
played
it.
Talking about mobility, that's for sure.
I think we would have played at least the wild card.
Mm-hmm. I think we could have. What? Who was it? I think we would have beat the Chargers too.
I mean, we let Bruce Arians. I mean, Bruce Arians went, and Bruce Arians had us 9-0.
So Zach is asking here. So, do you believe Ballard will have a shared vision with the new head coach, or will they have massive roster turnover and changes like Saturday said in the end of his press?
So I don't think Jeff said that there was going to be massive roster turnover.
No, he meant coaching staff turnover.
He meant coaching staff turnover because Jeff, pretty much what Jeff said was that he didn't get along with any of the coaches on the roster, probably outside of Reggie Wayne, considering they played together. But that was all Frank's staff, and he didn't like how they were coaching. It's pretty much what he was saying. I don't think there's going to be any roster turnover at all. I think most of the players we have now are going to be back next year. I think some of the guys might get re-signed, some of the guys might not.
And that's another reason why I say that we aren't in a rebuild, because you don't have a new GM. I don't think there's going to be massive roster turnover. I think the coaching staff will be changed regardless of who is hired, whether it be Jeff Saturday or somebody else comes into the building. So that would be a change. So I think Ballard will hire whichever coach. Well, I guess we got to worry about Irsay, but I think Ballard will hire whichever coach has the closest vision that he sees how this team should be playing, and go from there. And then if we see Ballard fired mid-season or something like that next year, then we know that Irsay chose this coach and it wasn't Ballard's decision.
Facts.
Yeah, Dan Knight, I agree. Matt Pryor can go.
I also want to say this. I think if we bring in a guy like D'Amico Ryans, I think Gus Bradley is gone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we talked about that.
We discussed that one.
Yeah. I think if you bring in an offensive-minded guy like Eric Bieniemy, I think there's a high chance that Gus Bradley stays.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to see how Bieniemy's offense works with a solid defense.
It would be unstoppable almost.
Steve Spagnuolo runs about engage 8 or cover 4. In between, bro.
But okay, you got to give Kansas City some credit though. They've had a better defense this year than they've had in previous seasons, the last 5 years.
Well, the problem is they didn't go with some freaking 30-year-old vets, and they finally added some rookies to that defense to bring some life to it.
You leave fucking Eric Berry alone now. All right.
That was different, bro.
That man had cancer, came back and won Comeback Player of the Year, and
he was young. He was young then, though. They let him go at 29.
That man was a stud. I wanted him to come to Indy so bad.
Justin Houston.
Chad,
I think. That's facts.
Hey, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about Justin Houston is he has the same amount of sacks as Yannick Ngakoue this year.
Yeah, Justin had a good season this year, man. Quietly good season.
We
He's
let
just 100
him
years
go.
old.
So
you know who I miss?
We could have paid like a quarter of that salary to keep Justin Houston.
Yeah, pretty much.
Their defense similar, but different with Gus. San Francisco
Read it out loud, bud. Read it out loud. Come on.
They're different. They're
Use
different.
Big boy
Defense
voice.
is similar, but different with Gus. San Francisco plays a ton of cover 6 and a mix in cover 3 and cover 1. Gus was straight cover 3. Yeah,
I like cover 3. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't disagree with cover 3, but the same thing we can say about Eberflus was he was straight cover 2. It was like
But
that's
see,
what
cover
our
two has
defensive
more.
our
Cover
defensive
two has
coordinator just
more.
been one set.
But cover two is more weak spots than cover three, in my opinion. You cover more field with cover three than you do cover
Well, that's
two.
because you got 3 linebackers out there that are playing instead of playing the corners, they're playing hook to curl.
Well,
So
that that still fully depends on what personnel you're using. I mean, you don't
Yeah,
always have 3 linebackers on the field in a cover three.
and I
yeah,
think that's
I
and
mean,
and that's why I think sometimes we're kind of getting killed deep too, deep in the
Yeah.
zones.
yeah, up those seams have been
Up those
ugly.
seams, man, the flats and the seams, bro.
But that's
Not
been the
good.
good part about our front seven though. Our front seven has given up a ton of run yardage, so it was another plus for us there.
So I'm a big fan of the cover 6. I'm a big fan of the cover 3, and it's just mainly because of the amount of field that is actually covered. I hate the cover 2. I think the cover 2 is a weak defense. And cover 1 is suspect depending on personnel.
Everybody loves that Tampa 2 these days.
Fuck that Tampa 2, dude. That shit's
Why?
so
It's
weak.
so outdated. It's
It
So
is.
outdated. It's
It's
so
so
weak.
outdated.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. It's crazy.
What do we do with Shaq? Heard a lot of opinions. There is a lot of opinions about Shaq.
Leave Shaq
I
alone. Let
I
him
have
know
one
where this is
where
gonna go.
I'm ready
let,
to.
let Shaq.
I'm willing to trade him, and I'm willing to keep him. It doesn't matter to me because
Dan, here's my question though.
I am not I don't get tied to players. I don't get emotionally attached.
Let Shaq recover.
To me, this is gonna sound bad, but they're a product.
Yeah.
The NFL is a business. These teams, these organizations are a business, and the players are the product. So to me, if you trade them, you trade them. It's like selling a gallon of milk for a freaking different type of milk. Like that's just me, man. I don't get attached.
Dan, I don't know. My question and my response to that would be, what do you do with Zaire Franklin? I mean, I think he was probably outside of Grove and Buckner, best player on our defense this year. I just don't know if you bench a guy. Do you find ways to keep him on the field by maybe running a different scheme? So that's an interesting point there. And what if we do get a guy like, trade him for his value now and make improvements what you need? Yeah, Chad, I agree. We're banking on a lot right now. But here's the thing that we missed this year on defense too was turnovers. I mean, it was just a hunt for turnovers. I can't tell me how many times this season we're sitting here like, God, we could use a turnover right now or a stop. That's what having Shaq on the field is going to do. So it's kind of a toss up for me. In a perfect world, you have both of them on the field at the same time, but yeah, and even what Zach said, maybe Z and Shaq are coming back and Bobby O is gone. I just think you got to have Zaire on the field. That guy played with tenacity on defense, and we need it.
Here's my thing though. We let go of old boy, the other linebacker, can't
Walker.
remember his name.
Anthony Walker.
Anthony Walker. I wanted to say Matt Adams, and I was like, that's not him at all. But yeah, Anthony Walker. We let go of Anthony Walker for Bobby O. So how can you just let Bobby O walk? He balled out too.
That was the beginning of our leadership troubles on defense.
Yeah, facts. I mean,
was a fan favorite.
Anthony Walker and Shaq are best friends. I mean, and you let his best friend walk. You ever play with your best friend as a linebacker?
Yep, I sure did.
Yeah. There's a different chemistry on the field when you're playing with your best friend standing next to you. There's a totally different chemistry.
A lot of pride. A lot
Yeah.
of pride is on the field. What flies over me? What am I coming downhill and hitting? That was my mistake. We should let Kenny Moore walk.
I didn't have to worry about walking or worrying about one side of the field when I'm on this side of the field, because this side of the field I know I got down, and that side of the field I know my boys got that shit down. And that's how it was with Shaq and Walker. That's just how it was.
Yes, sir.
We can't just let Bobby O walk after we let Anthony Walker walk for Bobby O. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, you definitely. I don't think you could like any of those guys walk.
No, I still think that was one of the dumbest moves by Chris Ballard, was letting Anthony Walker walk.
I mean, the crazy thing is he let a lot of guys walk and didn't reload there.
No, he didn't.
So if you think about all the guys that we let walk, where it was Danico Autry, Anthony Walker, my guy Malik Hooker. I mean, it was
We're forgetting
Water.
EJ Speed too. We're forgetting EJ Speed. And that guy.
No. He was included when I said not don't let any of those guys walk.
Yeah.
But
You
I'm
still need to keep that depth.
I completely disagree with Zach
Hmm?
when it comes to Bobby not being a master of anything, because Shaq isn't better in coverage than Bobby O. I wouldn't even really say that. Yeah, he gets interceptions. He's in the right place at the right time. But with Shaq being the 100% complete linebacker, Bobby O is better than Zaire Franklin in the passing game, which is why we kept Bobby O,
100%.
because Shaq is better than Zaire and Bobby O in the run game. You can't deny that. I mean, when
Forcing turnovers in the run game, yes, but coming downhill and tackling, I mean, dude, Zaire's
I've never
brutal.
seen him. I've never seen him have an issue. The only time he ever missed a tackle was when Derrick Henry threw a stiff arm on him.
Yeah, that was bad. But
that was it. But coming
yeah,
downhill and making
I
a
see what you
tackle in a
mean.
run game, he's done it. He's did it to every single running back, including Derrick Henry. He just had an unbalanced play when he got stiff arm.
But is that simply what we're describing right here worth 10% or a cap?
Who, Shaq?
Yeah.
The turnovers, yeah.
I agree. I agree with the turnovers. This is my question for you. You know what I mean? Do we go and acquire picks in this? Do we go for a player?
I'm just concerned about letting Bobby O go. That's my concern. I think that because can Zaire Franklin become that guy
He can't.
like can
not, and that's my fair.
He had a good year, sure.
I think
he had a
the
good year, sure.
The tough part is if you let him go, do you replace him? Because that's been our problem.
But everyone wants to let him go because they think Zaire is going to replace Bobby O, and I don't think that's going to be the case at all.
Well, Zaire doesn't play coverage like Bobby O, so
Bobby O saved us in coverage a couple times this
Yeah.
season.
Zach,
That Dallas game,
100%. Bobby O was there in man coverage. He covered better man coverage than Kenny Moore does. He was a man coverage linebacker. I disagree 100% with that.
Yeah, I think he was definitely by far our best coverage linebacker, and not somebody that we can just let walk out of the building. We need to make sure we keep him. That'd be one less thing to worry about in free agency or the draft or whatever, and then we could just make sure we get our corners, make sure they're going to be good to go for the season, and then also pass rusher, getting that figured out. So that'd be one less thing to worry about.
What receiver would you take in a trade for Shaq
but here's
that we could afford comfortably? That's what Chad just asked.
There isn't one in a trade.
No.
Unless you're going to give me Justin Jefferson.
You're trading Shaq for picks.
Yeah.
Huh?
You're trading Shaq for picks.
Draft picks is what he's saying.
Draft picks.
Oh, draft picks. Oh.
Yeah. No. I'm not trading him for a player. I'm trading for draft picks.
I was about to say, if I'm trading Shaq for a player, the Vikings are giving me Justin Jefferson.
Facts. Or San Fran's giving me fucking Debo.
Oh, please. That's what I want so bad.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
I need an instant playmaker.
Facts. Listen, give me. I'll take a late first round pick because I'm keeping 4. So you're giving me a late first round pick.
I need 2.
You want 2 first round picks?
I want 2. My guy is giving you
for this year though. I'm talking this year. I'm talking this year's draft.
My guy is giving you 10 plus turnovers a year. I need 2.
So you're giving me a first for this year and a first for next year, and then you're giving me a second, maybe 2.
Yep. Then I can sleep at night and say, okay.
Zach,
I'm not taking Lamar. I'm not taking Lamar.
I'm not taking Lamar.
Okay.
But hold on. I want to go back to this where he says, bro, no way we're paying 3 linebackers. That's crazy. Zaire's not making that much money.
Right, yeah, I was about to say Zaire's on like a
3-year, $9 million.
3-year.
Yeah, 3-year, $9 million deal. What you talking about? He's getting paid like a kicker.
And then the most you pay Bobby is what? What is the guy from San Francisco making? Greenlaw, what is he making?
I don't know what Greenlaw's making.
Maybe $5 million. So
what's his name?
Dre Greenlaw.
But I do agree with Zach in a sense. You don't pay all 3 of them big money.
No. If it's
because
big money, then obviously
that's our issue with Chris Ballard. That's
No,
our
but
issue with
see,
Chris Ballard,
but see,
though.
but see, there's a difference though. Like, look,
He's
there was-
making he's on a 2-year, $16.4 million contract.
Oh, that's $8
Mm-mm.
I'd give him a 3-year,
10
$15
million
million.
guaranteed. 10 million guaranteed. 7.
I'd give him I'd do a 3-year, $15 million, $9 million guaranteed. Is that not? I feel like $5 million a year. You get 9 of that guaranteed. So there's only $6 million left on the deal. So you're gonna make $6 million over 3 years. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of money, but most of it is guaranteed.
Chad said, "How about we trade Shaq, our second round pick this year, and next year's first round for Chicago's number 1?
No.
So we hold number 1 and number 4.
No, because here's the thing.
I just don't see the need.
Chicago wouldn't pay old boy for one.
We got to make sure we make trades look legit because,
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that we've seen from Bears fans, nobody in their right mind would do unless there's some
Here's the thing. Them getting Shaq, our second round pick, and next year's first round pick, that's Chicago beating us in that trade. They won that trade.
Getting fleeced.
Yeah, we just got fleeced, and Ballard won't take that. So I don't even see us moving up. I don't see us moving up at all.
Yeah, I don't either. I think you stay patient, and you can't go wrong between Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. Even though I prefer C.J. Stroud, I think there's no point to reach because of the fact that you can't justify if that guy doesn't work out.
Facts.
And that's another reason why how Zach said here, he said Shaq for Lamar. I do not want to trade for a veteran quarterback like Lamar for this reason.
Damon, stop smelling yourself, bro.
I was yawning, not trying to do it in the mirror.
Lamar has missed 5 games last year, 6 games this year, and you trade for him. He is starting to become injury prone, and it's not even from his play style. He got hurt in the pocket, just so everybody knows. But he's becoming injury prone, and he's not going to stay healthy down the stretch. And then also, you got to pay him $200 million guaranteed. Like, I do not want to do this with a veteran, and you end up with a situation that he may not work out. I'm not of the idea that we should go for any veteran unless it is a free agent vet that we can get on a cheap deal, and that's it. That's where I'm at with that.
Facts. Zach also says front-loaded maybe, but I'm not a fan of paying linebackers unless they're Shaq special. Here, I'm going to say this real quick because I've been doing these podcasts with Zach for about 3 years now. Zach doesn't like to pay anybody.
Nah, he likes to pay people.
Unless they're elite. Nah, he doesn't like to pay anybody unless they're elite. This man's like,
okay,
unless he's like, I don't want to pay a running back unless they're,
Yeah,
don't
pay a running back unless it's.
He thinks our wide receivers are trash, and they're actually pretty good. They're decent. Zach's a hater.
Yeah.
But I agree with Zach here, though. I don't.
Well, yeah, because the problem is you can't say everybody's not special, so don't pay them. You need those. See, this is the thing I've learned about like college, bro. Like when you see rosters start to stack up, and everybody's like, "Oh, this team is so good because they're the number 1 ranked class." But the thing you'll notice is they'll have 3 5-stars, they'll have 24 stars, and like 15 3-stars. You need those in between players, those 3 and those 4 stars. Everybody doesn't have to.
But let me explain what Zach is trying to explain. I think y'all are taking me and his points wrong here. The Colts are built backwards. Let's go. We have a star running back and a star middle linebacker. That is not how you win a Super Bowl. Not with this coaching staff in today's NFL. What he's trying to explain is why are we going to go and structure up? What would that be? If we kept Shaq, paid Bobby O, and had Zaire on the field, that'd be $30 million. But let me explain myself. That'd be $30 million. That's our linebacking core.
I understand, but here's the difference. Our quarterback is on a rookie deal. If we draft a quarterback, who cares what we pay these other guys? Because now you're keeping the continuity of a defense that was elite until they've just said, fuck it, I'm done because our offense was trash. The rest of the
Ultimately,
roster is
also-
already paid, and you just put a quarterback who could potentially be your franchise guy who is legit on a rookie deal. You ain't paying him anything but 18 mil.
But
And
I
once
would-
that
but
rookie
that's-
deal,
we're
and
not
once
saying
that
don't-
rookie deal is over, Shaq's deal is done. He's
We're not
old.
saying don't pay someone like Bobby O. We're
Right.
saying front load it. Front load it. Put the money up front. Don't.
But that's what I said. That's why I said. That's why I said
Why-
9 million
but-
guaranteed,
but
and then he's
I
making
get that.
1.5 for the next 3 years.
I get that, but my disagreement with Zach is that he's saying you don't pay linebackers, right? He doesn't. Well, he likes to pay defensive ends, offensive linemen, and CBs. And I don't understand why you want to ignore the rest of the team that's just as important as those positions, because the defensive line ain't shit without linebackers. That front seven works as one as a unit,
Yep.
and we're
Because
forgetting that
if
the
you got
Mike
garbage linebackers, you're gonna be getting ran on all day.
Shaq is a will. He is a weak side linebacker. He is not a Mike. The Mike is the most important linebacker on the field.
Because he's a quarterback
Always
of the
has
defense.
been.
He's a quarterback of the
Exactly.
defense.
Always
Right.
has been, always will be. He's more important than paying a DB. He's more important than paying, because if you have a guy like Ray Lewis and you're paying him properly, I'm sorry, Shaq is not a Ray Lewis because he's a
No.
weak side linebacker.
No,
I'm
he's
sorry.
not coming downhill. He's not coming downhill most of the time.
No,
He's dropping the
and the
coverage.
thing is I'm not paying O-line as much as what everybody wants to pay O-line. We have our O-line overpaid drastically.
Correct.
You don't pay O-line this
Okay,
money.
we're on the same page here. I think. But like, for example, contracts like Kenny Moore's contract, and he wants more money. We're paying a guy. I think he's getting what, $15 million as a slot corner.
Yeah.
Giving guys like Kenny Moore that type of contract is why we don't have a AJ Brown on our team.
No, so this is the reason why Kenny Moore is going to walk. Is that Kenny Moore's gone.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
boy's
obviously
gone.
we're
That boy's
comparing.
gone.
You know, but that's why.
But my thing is, and I'm agreeing with Zach when it comes to A+ players get elite money. Everybody
Correct.
else will be cheap on a rookie deal or cheap deals. But you don't underpay a player. This is how you lose people, right? But you don't overpay a player. A good GM is good enough to find that median. And what we need to find is the medium with Bobby O.
But
Because
I'm thinking
Bobby O's
about,
not elite. He's not an A+ player.
I'm
He's
thinking
a
about other
B.
good defenses too, though. Like, okay, what's a team that's probably going to win the Super Bowl this year? We'll take the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs. Average defenses, superstar offenses. We can't compare, right? Apples to oranges. But that linebacking core, not that special. Rookies, unproven talent. We
but you guys,
we
you guys,
paid Shaq
but the
because he is
team-
special.
Yeah,
we
but
paid
you're
Shaq.
you guys are looking around the league at the wrong teams, though. You guys cannot name me one team that does not have an established quarterback with a number one receiver that isn't paying other positions. You have to pay those other positions if you're not strong at quarterback. So
Right.
yeah, we may be built backwards, but you guys are keep naming stuff that we don't have. So
Right.
exactly. It was just like last
That
year.
we
You think
could
about
have
last year.
if we did
Hold on,
not
hold on,
overpay.
real quick.
But here's the
Yeah,
thing,
but
we're
hold on, real quick,
already
real quick.
built backwards, so we
real
have
quick.
to continue to build that way.
No,
Yeah,
we
have
don't.
to be,
Yes, we do.
We have
Or
to.
else
This
we're
is
in a
the-
rebuild.
This is the first
Yeah.
season we get a new coach and a
No.
top 5 draft pick for a skill player. You have
Damon,
plenty of time.
Damon,
anyway.
if we-
the players won't go to the Chargers until they got Justin Herbert.
If we change the way we built the team, if now we're like, okay, instead of paying people we have, and we're just gonna draft this quarterback and start getting all new people, that's a rebuild. We're not in a rebuild. So you need to pay what we have, draft the quarter. We've already built backwards. I understand what you're saying. We built
So if
backwards.
that's the case,
We need to stay in the route we're going,
If
and
that's
we
the
will be
case-
fine.
if that's the case, we're a running football team on offense.
We are
Correct.
We are
So-
100%.
Okay.
So
Okay.
look,
We
take
just
this
need a
for-
quarterback
for-
who can complement it with being able to move.
So
for prime example for what you in Zach's situation, what you're saying. Look, who was it? God damn it, I just forgot his guy.
I don't know, but Damon called
But
it.
the
He
re-
said at the beginning that we were going to have a lot of freaking debates tonight.
because
the receiver from the Chicago Bears, Allen Robinson. He wanted to leave the Chicago Bears because they didn't have an established quarterback. They went with Justin Fields.
correct.
He was in free agency. The Colts were a favorite to land him but he didn't choose the Colts because they didn't have a quarterback at the time. We then got Matt Ryan. There is no receiver in the league that is going to want to choose a team that doesn't have an established quarterback.
Facts. So we have to keep what we have.
Justin Herbert went from 2,300 yards last year to 3,500 this year. Receivers like Chase Claypool are now like, okay, I'll go to Chicago to go play with that guy, even though Chase Claypool is not a number one. But you have to establish what you have before we can get into these conversations about don't pay these positions.
Right.
So
that's all we're saying.
Once we establish that we can get our quarterback and he can throw to the guys that we have and figure out if they're number ones, they're number twos. We got guys that just aren't competitive enough. Once you get the quarterback in place, just like the Bengals did when they had Tyler Boyd and then they drafted Joe Burrow. And then they were like, okay, let's get him a receiver in this same draft. And they went and got T. Higgins. They're like, okay, boom, we got this. Justin Herbert goes, or Joe Burrow goes out there and he balls, but he gets hurt. It's like, okay, what should we do? Should we go offensive line? No, they're not. They say, fuck protecting their quarterback. We got a real guy. Go get him Jamar Chase. That's how we need to build once you see you got that guy, because then eventually you can add a Sam Hubbard and somebody else, and then boom.
Hold on. Zach, you're misunderstanding what we're saying. You're stuck on this big bucks thing. No one said pay Bobby O big bucks.
We're not trying to pay him $15 million each year.
No one said that. We're saying we need to keep him.
I'm not even trying to pay him $10 million each year. I said $5 million each year.
But here's my question for you then. So we're using this example, right, DeMarco? And I'm not trying to crazily disagree here, but I'm wanting us to have money to go after an A.J. Brown, to go after a Tyreek Hill. Granted, we need a quarterback. I get it. But we're talking about it's a running football team, and we don't need to retool. We don't need to rebuild. What is our identity?
But no matter how much money we have, no matter how much
our identity.
Exactly. So no matter how much money we have, no matter how much money we have, we're not going to be able to pull in anybody because we don't have identity, because we don't have a quarterback. How do you expect to sign or anyone like a Tyreek Hill or somebody like an A.J. Brown or bring any of those guys in with the money that you guys want without having a quarterback?
I agree. So then we're not a running football team.
We keep naming. You guys keep naming these receivers.
We're just naming like players. We're naming like players. They're not naming. We're not saying we're gonna go out and get those.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not exact guys, but it's like the situation that Justin Jefferson in right now is a perfect example. But the problem I have with it is that the fact that you guys keep saying we're gonna go get an AJ Brown or Tyreek Hill. What were they doing? They were going from either a non-established quarterback or an established quarterback to a guy that they think they believe in will be an established quarterback.
Facts. We don't have anybody.
We have to establish that before we go to trade. Okay, so who are we talking about going to trade for? Because you guys keep saying A.J. Brown or Deebo Samuel.
That's not what we're trying to say. What we're trying to say is we get our guy. We get our guy like C.J. Stroud, right? Let's say this year we run it back with this offense, new coach, everything. Receiver craps the bed, which I bet it does. But that's my opinion.
Okay, but you're looking
let me
next year.
But that's what y'all gotta let me explain. Y'all keep cutting me off. Let me explain.
Okay.
By giving another person like Kenny a contract, like giving someone like Bobby O another contract, we're limiting ourselves for when we get this guy, CJ Stroud. Our receiving core does not do good. We have the money to acquire that talent because we believe in this quarterback.
Not if we do what you said and you front load.
What do you mean? If we front load it, once that contract money's gone after this year.
If we sign Bobby O this offseason, because this is his contract year, if we re-sign Bobby O this offseason and we front load it, that means his salary cap is hitting the 2023 season. That means when it starts the 2024 season in March of 2024, our salary cap, his front loaded contract is not impacting that salary cap. So then you can still go out and go get who you need. So you guys said front load. Yeah, front load that cheap deal that me and DeMarco are talking about.
And right here, another example is we're not paying any receivers.
We're
But
not.
Not right now. Not right now. We're
nobody's
not.
being
Not right now. We're
paid,
not.
so we still have money. So just like, look, Dan Knight's comment right here. Rookie QB, if we had CJ Stroud go 4-13 next year, I have that set at about 7 wins next year, and then draft Marvin Harrison Jr. The Raiders have 7 wins, and they're the 7th pick in the draft. We take Marvin Harrison Jr., boom, you have a receiver, and you haven't had to pay anybody.
That'd be the best case scenario.
So that's what I'm
That's
trying to
But
tell you.
That'd be the
That's
best
what-
case scenario in that
That's,
sense. But
that's
please
what I'm trying to tell
understand
you
what I'm
guys.
trying to say.
I'm trying to say you don't
Hold
jump the gun
Hey, let
on
him-
paying a receiver if you cannot find a guy to throw him the ball.
But please understand what I'm trying to explain here. I'm sick of the mediocre, average players on our roster. I'm ready for the superstars, the money to be spent.
You
I'm
need the
over
quarterback
it.
first.
Oh my goodness,
You need-
Michael Pittman Jr. Oh,
You
good.
need the
Awesome.
you need the quarterback first,
mean-
though, man. Because here's the thing, right? Nobody's gonna want to come here if you're not established,
True.
and that's all we're trying to say.
And this is the year we get to do that, right? And that's why I'm like, we don't have an identity. Are we really a running football team? Y'all say yes. I don't know. I think we have one top 5 running back in football healthy.
No, if we had a coach that would stick to what our identity should be, we would be a running
Facts.
team.
Facts. So
That's the
Zach
problem
says.
with Frank.
So Zach says cannot find a true. I don't know
I
whatever.
think he's saying
but,
true receiver.
right, but still having that cash to be aggressive and free agency is definitely a plus. Sure,
So
having the
basically,
cash
he's
to be
saying-
aggressive.
So basically,
But-
he's saying he's saying finding that guy would be hard, but we still need to be aggressive to bring in talent. It would be a plus.
Right.
It would be something that we would favor.
But
we
if you
could.
can't say we are contending for a Super Bowl because of,
We don't get guys
Right.
like Stephon
then
Gilmore.
you
We
don't get
you're
guys like
contending.
Stephon. You don't get OBJ, who's still a free agent.
32 years old, 33 years old.
Doesn't matter.
Yes,
Doesn't
it
matter.
I
does.
said, you
Because we're
know,
going back to this
no,
old
no,
talent.
Steph-
now.
OBJ's
Stephon
a
Gilmore-
superstar.
Stephon
Oh,
Gilmore.
come on, man.
Stephon
Come
Gilmore.
on.
Everyone
Stephon
knows it.
Stephon Gilmore was a top 5 player on this roster, and he was 32 years
Hold on.
old.
Rams don't win the Super Bowl without OBJ last year.
Look who else they have in that offense.
I'm just saying.
They
It's
had
still
a
a fact.
old Matthew Stafford and a 31-year-old Aaron Donald.
Receiving core, Cooper Kupp, man. Best NFL season of
A
any
white
receiver
That's
probably
one
ever.
receiver.
That's one receiver. That's one receiver.
Come on,
OBJ.
man.
That's one receiver in OBJ.
I can't believe you just say he's a superstar. That guy ain't gone for 1,000 yards in like 7 seasons.
Okay, but that's the problem. You guys keep thinking superstars.
He did
are on
play
every
for the
roster.
Cleveland Browns, though.
Granted, but you get
And
what
the
I mean, man.
Giants.
And as a matter of
What I
fact, even
mean.
though he hasn't put up 1,000 yards, OBJ is
But-
still a superstar.
But here's the
Everybody
thing:
wants him.
you put OBJ
Zach.
on OBJ on your roster,
Zach,
and you instantly open up everything.
Nope,
Zach,
Zach,
one-
I don't want to hear anything about Howie
I do.
Roseman. Nope. No. Fuck that, dude. You guys are not going to sit here and
Let's
talk about how good Howie Roseman is. The Eagles fans were literally calling for this man to be fired last year.
And they're
The Eagles
impatient.
wanted- exactly. That's what
'Cause-
you guys need to be patient. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. We can't keep sitting here acting like every roster is loaded with superstars. That's not how it works. You
DeMarco,
have
how long has he been the GM there? I really don't know. I'm just asking. Howie Roseman.
I want to say he's been the GM there since 2016.
2010. He's been the GM since 2010. So in this case,
That's a long damn time. And he's almost
So-
been fired twice.
2010 to 2014, he was the GM. 2015 to 2018, he took a promotion to be the vice president. And then in 2019, he came back to be the GM.
Patience. It takes patience.
So if we're going from 2019,
No, Zach, what are you loading up on? We don't have anything to load up on. We don't. You can't go buy a Super Bowl when you haven't established anything. Like, guys, we got to have some patience here to get the guys in the building. You're saying load up and get it done. What did the Rams did? They
What
loaded
he
up
means-
when they got a Matthew. No.
Oh, hold on. I have to
Rams-
disagree with you. They were already loaded up before they got Matthew Stafford. The
But I'm
only
saying-
person they added with Matthew Stafford was OBJ.
they went to the
but
Super
see-
Bowl
but
2 years
see-
before.
Okay, but they were already loaded. They had an offense loaded. The Kansas City Chiefs, what do? They got talent. They load up. The Eagles, what do? They got Jalen Hurts. They find out he's good. They load up. You have to have something to load up. You can't just say, "Hey, we're the Colts. We got $80 million. Let's go try and get talent and then not have a quarterback."
We have
After-
Jonathan Taylor load up.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we do.
No,
Top
because we
5
have
running back
Frank
football.
Wright as a head coach. You
But
can't
top-
load up.
We don't have Frank Reich as a coach.
No, we
What
had
Zach is trying to say, we get our quarterback. We have money in the bank. We have capital finally. We load up if this guy pans out. Draft a quarterback.
Yeah, but
Let him play this next season
Okay,
and
See,
go
hold on.
load
This
up
is
and get
this
it done.
I agree with. This
That's
I
what I'm
agree
trying to
with.
explain.
No,
Boom.
you know what? No. I think Matt. I think I found the disconnect that we're having here.
I just want to keep Bobby O.
Me and you are stuck.
That's what started this whole thing.
We're in 2023. They're
And they're
thinking
in 2024.
2024. They're already a year ahead because we don't disagree with you guys. You guys are just expecting it tomorrow, and we're saying it's gonna take a year to get there.
Yeah.
I think that's where our disconnect.
Listen, no, hold on. My disconnect is I just want to keep Bobby O.
I mean, I want to keep Bobby.
We're now 2 hours in now.
On a cheap deal. We're at 2 hours in. We've talked for 20 minutes. We went off script, and all I wanted was Bobby O to stay.
Yeah, let's go
Zach.
with let's go with Dan Knight here. Will the Colts tight ends be?
Oh God, you guys are cutting into my Warzone time.
Grandson and Jelani Woods to start the season. Honestly, Dan Knight, I've discussed with these guys, and they've agreed with me that I would trade Mo Ali Cox, get his contract off the books here, and then we would feature Jelani Woods, go with Kylan Granson, and then start to work in our boy who got hurt, Ogletree, in the offseason.
Irsay wants 2 Super Bowls this decade. Go buy it. Zach, you're not lying. You're not lying. Irsay said it.
Draft your quarterback and spend the money.
He's got to find a way to deliver.
So
Yeah,
you don't
I mean-
so we pull up Chad's question here. So you don't add a receiver with JT and Moss to complement whichever QB we take.
That's not what we're saying.
He better
Chad,
not.
I want a
he better
receiver.
not. Hey, look here. If he want to take you guys' plan and he wants to load up, he better not draft Will Levis and hire Jeff Saturday. He better not hire Jeff Saturday and draft Will Levis if he wants to take you guys' plan.
The Giants about to pull the comeback.
No, they are not.
I don't know, man. Jags were down like 27-0.
Hell no.
Watch.
I'm
just kidding.
Dude,
Daniel Jones is not Trevor Lawrence.
That is ugly.
Man, that was a good debate, man. I like when we have debates. I remember the one time me and Zach got into it pretty bad.
Yeah, that was a real awkward way to end an episode, I'll tell you that. Because it was just quiet and I was like, all right, guys. So
Yeah, I remember not coming back to the group chat for like 3 hours. I was so pissed. And all we debated about was what was more important.
Left tackle,
offensive
right?
line. Yeah, it was either offensive line or corner. And I was like, we need a fucking corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, what's name? I get pretty heated and passionate and whatnot, but I always keep it within the context of we're just talking football and we may disagree on an opinion.
No, that was me and Zach, but it was heated. It wasn't like we were going personally at each other. It was just
Nope, Zach. I don't want to hear about Howie Roseman. He almost lost his job last year.
he lost his job 10 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like I can't possibly keep hearing about like Howie Roseman. He almost got fired. Eagles fans were calling for his head, and look at him now. They may be getting ready for a Super Bowl. So.
Here's the thing: Howie Roseman lost his job over a decade ago when Chip Kelly was the head coach, and then Chip Kelly became the GM and head coach, and then they fired Chip Kelly, rehired Howie Roseman as GM, and then boom, here we are today.
Yep. So, I think Chris Ballard would look like a genius if he hires one of the coaches that we discussed, get CJ Stroud. We look a little rough this year and get CJ through his patches. We get Marvin Harrison Jr. next year, and then boom, we start to trend up, and you see free agents want to come to Indy, and then Chris Ballard will look like a genius.
I want to steer off a little bit. Who is the number 1 wide receiver prospect in the draft?
Probably Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, that's everybody's number 1 right now.
Do you think he goes number 1 to Chicago?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay,
he's good, but he's not one good.
Because this is what I'm thinking. I'm Chicago. I've got the number 1 draft pick. I already have my quarterback. I have Chase Claypool, who could be a wide receiver 1. Who am I going number 1?
They go defensive tackle or defensive end. We had the discussion in the group chat, and They were saying they would go defensive tackle and get the guy out of Georgia. I think it was Carter.
Yeah, Anthony
Me
Carter.
personally, I favor edge rushers over defensive tackles. So
I do
was
too.
I was saying you would take Will Anderson from Alabama and you get you a set edge rusher for the next 10 years.
Yeah,
But I
receiver,
will say this. I think that the reason they want to go defensive tackle before edge rush is because I think it is easier to build a defensive line from the outside in or from the inside out than it is
Yeah.
from the outside in.
Well,
I think if you
Carter's
if you-
supposed to be better than Will Anderson as far as like talented wise.
yeah, if you solidify that interior defensive line, you're going to help the outside, and it kind of gives you a grace period to go ahead and find an edge rusher maybe the next year, because kind of like how we did it with DeForest and Grover, we kind of solidified that interior, and it forces, let's say, the run game to push outside, which if we have guys that can contain the edge, which Tyquan Lewis is that guy, in my opinion. I hope we keep him. It just makes it easier, in my opinion.
I mean,
to build
honestly,
from
I
the
think the
inside
Bears,
out on the defensive line.
if the Bears are smart and they really want to try and get a lot of things fixed at one time, they're going to trade back, and then get a
That would
defensive
be
player and then get a receiver, because I don't think any of these receivers are going top 10.
no, I mean receiver is not really a position you see shoot up until combine and pro day time. Anyways, that's whenever you get a lot. I mean, DK Metcalf was like what? He was a protected really
Second
late.
overall.
That guy showed that guy
Second round.
simply a picture got posted of him shirtless and
I'm gonna-
he, you know,
I
I
like to make this
based
point.
off his specs.
I like to make this point every year around draft time, and I'm going to say it now, and I'll probably say it again right before the draft. NFL teams across the NFL are 85% third round to fifth round players. Teams are built off of third round, fifth round players. From third round to fifth.
Just because of that conversation we made off of Will Levis. A lot of first round picks are overrated.
Yes.
And they get missed.
Yes.
Because they get overrated by somebody and they become a bust. And the third and the fifth round picks are the guys that are more valuable.
Third round, fourth round, fifth round players are that's the best day to watch the draft. It's typically the second round's pretty good too, but the third, fourth, fifth, that's where you got to watch the draft, because that's where you're gonna find some of these hidden superstars that come out of nowhere, like the T.Y. Hiltons. T.Y. Hilton was a third round draft pick. That dude was 1,000-yard receiver for what, 6-7 years straight.
Yep. Those late round picks. Those are the guys that get evaluated more, just because of their positioning alone. So yeah, that'd be my thing. I just don't think any of these receivers are going top 10. I think guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out next year are going to be more highly touted. But just like Zach said, Zay Flowers is the number one prospect at wide receiver, but I don't think he's going to be the number one taken receiver because of his size and whatnot. I think he's more of the versatile guy that's going to get taken later. So.
All right. So I'm tracking. You guys got to go. Damon already left. He's got to go pick up his lady's prescription. Tracking. You got to go too. I'm pretty sure I can hear your kids.
Yeah, they're trying. So. I'm going to make sure they don't burn my house down.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. It was definitely a good talk. Definitely a good discussion. Zach, we missed you. Wish we could have had that debate with you here on the actual podcast and not within the comments, man. I hope you drive safe and that you get home soon. Be with your family, but
wish there could have been a better game for everybody as well with this Eagles and Giants game.
Yeah, I was watching it here on my phone at the same time as we're doing this. So, but yeah, it was a good show. Good show, guys. I appreciate everybody coming out in the comments as always. Chad, Nathan,
Tristan that came through again.
Tristan, I couldn't remember his name. He was here. Zach, appreciate you coming in. Ashley came in and said hello and then left. Remember, guys, make sure you share us. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are everywhere. YouTube. Make sure to share. Make sure to watch. There's Colts fans out there, man. There's Colts fans that don't know that there's podcasts like this. Make sure to share us, that they can come hang out with us.
And let's go T.Y. Hilton tomorrow. Still rooting for the guy.
Yeah, big cock Brock.
And then you guys see I got my draft hat on. We're ready for draft season.
I've got I believe my draft hat. This was like 2018, I think. 2018, 2019. drank
Yes.
that. So yeah,
Appreciate you
I
guys
actually
as
like this one.
always.
All right, everybody. I hope you all have a good night, and it is always go Colts.
Go Colts.
He is going to drop the throw. Fires deep along the right sideline for Alec
Pierce.
Pierce.
He's got it.